What's up, guys? Welcome to the FATED Connections episode 103. We did start on time. You're wrong if you think that we're late. That's not actually accurate. We're 1 week into the 3.21 Crucible expansion, and we've had some fun discoveries, and we had plenty of time to engage with the league and to build our opinions. Today, we're going to talk all about our starter builds, how the first week went, all the fun discoveries we had along the way, and we're going to get into detailed criticism of the league as it is implemented, as well as the patches 321.0 B and C. And for this, of course, for the first time since the league started, basically, we got BalorMage here fulfilling his role as the co-host of FATED Connections. So let's get in BalorMage before we get in our other fun guests from the Path of Exile community. How's it going, BalorMage? Welcome.
Well, hello. It's going pretty good.
I'm going to switch the music up.
Mostly loving the league. Yeah, mostly loving the game. We're pretty happy.
That's good to hear. I'm glad you made it here. How are you today? Did you already play a little bit, or?
Oh, I've done like 10 or 12 hours before now. And
Damn.
then I got off, and I've already recorded a video and done all the prep work for the second one, which I'm going to record after this.
See, you're very much motivated by Zizaran's 3 to 5 videos a day that he's pumping out right now.
I'm going to aim 3 to 5 a week. I don't know what the.
I see the image is a little bit lagging, but I don't think there's anything you could do about it. I just hope it normalizes. Yeah, but before we start, of course, let's get in our guests. We got your neighbor, Slippery Jim, is also here. Let's get him in right now. How are you doing, Slippery?
Oh, shit. I got a tiny camera. Hello.
You're looking good. No worries.
Thank God that music's done.
What? Did you not like the creepy factor?
It was so loud, and there's no volume control, and I was just sitting here like blowing my eardrums out. No, it's good though. It's good though.
I didn't realize how loud it was. Next time I got the settings correctly. It was on 50% here, but I think it's a really cool track from the YouTube audio library that kind of recreates the PoE vibe a little bit. So yeah, we're glad to have you here. Before we start, like I said, let's get on everyone. So our next guest is Wolfio, who does a whole lot of streaming on Twitch, but also super informative videos on YouTube. Welcome, Wolfio. How have you been?
Hello.
Hi.
Tons of fun this first week, I see. I actually did a Forge of the Titans thing, like a primeval, what is it, Remnant or Ruin? I don't know which one of the two. But I did one just before this podcast to say that I've done it and that I know what I'm talking about. And yeah, as I saw on Reddit, you just zoom through as the monsters spawn. You don't really have to stand still and wait for them to spawn. You actually don't get hit by anything. You just walk past them. You use the benches, and then afterwards, I was like, well, might as well try and kill them, right? So maybe they got some reward because they're pretty hard. And at like three bosses, like 3 times the same boss that spawns these silly totems and stuff. And it was just, it was obliterating me so hard. I burned through 5 portals, 50% of my XP bar, and it dropped exactly nothing. There was no reason to kill the monsters. And yeah, just wanted to get that out before we dive into the starters. Balor, do you want to tell us a little bit? What build did you start, and how was your experience so far?
We started Poison SRS because a lot of people were going to start it, and I wanted to make sure I was starting it as well. Deal with any changes that had to happen, which there were a few minor changes. It went fantastic, but I was finished with all of the content in 4 days, and it's a really good league start build. So I ended up re-rolling already, and now I'm playing Lightning Arrow, which bow builds, yay, my literal favorite. Now I'm having a ball. It's time to farm out a Headhunter, which I have 0 cards and I'm broke. I have like 3 divines left after gearing the character, but that's fine because I have a character, so I'll be able to farm it.
good. I especially like that you took one for your community by not starting with the beloved lightning arrow that you really wanted to start, but like figuring out the poison SOS start for everyone so that they could follow along.
I had to. I wanted to start those, but it was just sort of like, I know poison SRS is really good, and I also know like a ton of people were starting it, and I was like, if I'm not playing it, I can't make the adjustments and like figure out what happened new and make it better. So I have to start it. I'll get to bows after.
Well, great. And do you want to also? We need the context from everyone because the opinions are kind of hard to contextualize if we don't know what starter you're playing. Slippery Jim, what's the build of your choice for everyone to know?
I've played 5 builds so far.
What?
I don't know.
Already? One build every day, basically.
Dude, I'm basically broke. I keep spending. I'm like, oh, this build would be so good if I just got like this 10 divine item, or I could level a new build and make a whole new. And then I get to the new build to the point where it's like, this build would be really good if I could get 20 divines and sync. And then I get 5 divines. I'm like, oh, I could make a new. And then yeah. So I played like Fire Trap and RF and Dervish and another RF and I don't remember the other one. EV, BV. Yeah, they're all Ignite based. They're all terrible.
What? BV Ignite based?
EK. They're all Ignite based.
I was just like, what? What is this BV Ignite build?
They're the same thing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
They're terrible.
So is there one of those builds that stuck with you where you're like, okay, that's the one I'm continuing with, or are you gonna make a 6th build tomorrow?
I played more of Mischief as well, Ignite. That's my best one, but it's still pretty terrible for what I want to do. I'm trying to do something that can do like the Uber labs, and every build that I've attempted in an Uber lab has ended in my death. So I'm just trying to find something that can do it.
Poison SRS.
I was gonna try Jug RF because I haven't tried that yet, but what's this poison SRS? Has it got defenses? Is it gym proof? The builds need to be gym proof.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was able to do all the Ubers on it, and I get hit by everything, and don't understand what a mechanic is.
How much does it cost to set up?
3 to get going, 15 to be really good.
Send me a POB. I'll have it done by tomorrow.
I want to see that. All right. Yeah, apparently I want to acknowledge it. People say Balor is a little bit laggy, and I saw the same thing on Slippery. It's probably to do with the connection to the servers of the streaming service that we're using.
Because I'm playing the game, and I'll just
but your audio is fine. That's what I want to make sure. Next time, music should be louder. Chat saying, "Hey, okay,
if the audio is fine, we're good."
Yeah, that's the most important part. Glad to have you on the podcast. What build did you start with?
I made a big mistake. Probably I had my worst league start ever. Started with the new thing, Prismatic Burst. I tried all sorts of attacks and range attacks and melee attacks, and oh my god, it felt so bad from the start. It's like long cooldown, bad AoE, damage isn't too great, and it just can't clear anything. So I didn't even reach maps. I reached like Act 6 and just quit. I give up. I tried reworking it, but like I didn't really have currency by that time, so I just quit and oh, he's searching Prismatic Burst. Yeah. Like the numbers, damage numbers don't look too bad, and it does really get good. Yeah, it does get radius with levels. So I thought I'm gonna start Saboteur, like the trigger boards. The trigger boards are just gonna spread out, and like the AoE is gonna cover more area. But as I learned, the trigger boards with this Prismatic Burst are like the worst idea possible, because whenever you hit the first enemy that you hit, the Prismatic Burst, both Prismatic Bursts from both trigger boards, gonna trigger on the same target. So it just kind of overlaps on the same target. And yeah, the area is pretty small and it's just not great. So I quit that and started, well, you know me, I kind of wanted to do some kind of niche idea. So I thought, okay, the Tainted Pact looks really cool. Maybe I should do like self poison, and like flicker strike because I will need those boots, whatever they are called, for the bleed or for the self poison. So I started that, reached like Act 2, and then realized there are no boots on the market. So because of breach is harder to do now, or what, enter? I don't even know about the breach changes yet. So I kind of started panicking. I didn't know what to do. Some people linked, I believe, Steel Mage list of builds, like viable builds, and I picked one that was Ranger basically, which is Blade Vortex Poison, Ben's build, and yeah, it works fine, and just not really liking it because, well, Blade Vortex is tiny EOE, and Crucible monsters are super scary. So I just run around Crucible monsters like chicken, casting Blade Vortex every second or two, trying to not die. But it also have to maintain so many buffs, like cast Blade Vortex every like 2 or 3 seconds, then check Divine Blessing aura, also like 15 seconds. So just way too many things. So I finally done with that, and now started working on another build that I'm pretty sure gonna quit or gonna have to make it into a normal.
Oh man,
So my league start is not going too well.
that sounds like a typical content creator league style. You
Yeah.
could go for just a safe bet, but where's the value in that for the entertainment, right? You want to do something unique. You want to do something that
Yeah.
people want to see, and yeah.
That sounds like a lot of mistakes in a row.
That's the worst part. Like, I started panicking because I see that everything I do keeps failing more and more. So I keep thinking, no matter what I'm gonna do next, is gonna fail as well. So it's just kind of like bad mindset. It's hard to get out of this mindset. So now it's kind of okay.
Well,
But
that's
yeah.
good to hear that you managed to get on the upward trend. I did decide to go with a summoner because I was like, hey, probably summoner is the right thing to do. But the same way, I didn't want to do poison SS because, that's already sort of covered by Balor and by Beta A, and there's so many people who are doing that build. That's like, I don't know. And then they also released a Val animate weapon, a Val version of the animate weapon skill that turns like it adds to the limit, right? So normally you have like a limit of 15, 16, depending on the level. And Val Animate Weapon gives you another 10 weapons on top, but also it, with one cast, summons these 10 weapons that go beyond your limit and turns them into random unique weapons with a higher level requirement. So I've actually managed to get the random Kingmakers a bunch of times already. Like, I actually had like 4 or 5 in one day sometimes. But obviously it's only like 24-second duration, so they vanish real quick, but it still feels awesome when you cast Val Animate Weapon and suddenly everything's fortified. You see that little star. It didn't matter really a lot in the beginning though, because before I got like mad gem levels and so good links on my zombies and everything, I got wiped so many times by the Crucible monsters. It was not fun. It was just running around and resummoning your minions, going back in, getting wiped again, summoning them again. Terrible.
By the way, Val version of those minions, how often do you summon unique weapons that are bad for your build? Like, you're doing poison, right? What if you get Starforge? You can only deal physical damage, right?
Right now, physical damage can poison as well, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, but
right now I didn't transform into poison yet. I'm still pure fizz.
oh,
I will do poison, but I'm still like using brutality and stuff like that. I'm still on a 5.
imagine getting
Everything's really
Void
slow.
Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Void Forge.
also caster staff or something like that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
tons of weapons.
That's why I didn't really like the idea of those.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. There's still one thing that I want to try out that someone's trying to push me to try out. I haven't seen anyone try it out yet. I don't have any verdict on whether it works, but there's the unique Threshold Jewel Spirit Guards that adds, I think, up to 20 ranged weapons to your repertoire. And the regular animate weapon, just as much as the Val animate weapon, doesn't specify. I mean, the wording is the same. It doesn't specify that they're melee weapons that you summon, right? So, like, Val Animate Weapon says, specifically, animated weapons are transformed into random unique weapons with level requirement between in this case 48 to 100. The minimum level goes up with level. It starts at around 30 or so. But yeah, I haven't tried it yet because Spirit Guards needs to be in a socket with 40 decks in the radius, so I need to pass down to Scion, and I just didn't feel like spending that many regrets to try out something that potentially doesn't work yet. I just wanted to make currency and keep upgrading the build and all that. But assuming that it works, that would be insane because, you know, the Spirit Guards adds 20 unique, 20 ranged weapons to your limit, right? Both of the base
No.
skill and then... No,
It
it doesn't?
converts.
Hmm?
It
Yeah,
converts,
it
I think.
converts.
It
Yeah.
converts the limit. All right, then I was told something wrong.
Yeah,
or
overrides the
misunderstood it.
melee into ranged.
Well, you can still summon melee weapons with Spirit Guards, no?
No.
You can, because I've had melee and range before, but I don't remember how.
I think there is a limit of how many new ranged weapons gets replaced. Like, I don't know the limit. Like, you can get like 7 ranged minions per duel or something like that. I actually forgot how it works.
I mean, I can bring it up right now here on the PoE wiki. Let me quickly do that.
Maybe it was old thing. Maybe I'm mixing
Yeah,
it up.
maybe they changed it because there's also now it's not drop anymore. Yeah, it's discontinued in 320 and 10.
Right.
310 it was upgraded
Well,
to
rip.
12 and then 320 was upgraded to 20. So right now, let me share it on screen right now. Spirit Guards actually says with at least 40 dexterity and radius, animate weapon can animate up to 20 ranged weapons. And from what I've been told, this is on top of the limit for the melee weapons. And why it's so interesting to try it out is because Val animate weapon has a separate limit, right? That doesn't play into the regular skill limit. And so the question is, does this additional 20 ranged weapons also apply to Val animate weapon? But yeah, we're gonna have to see. If it applies to Val animate weapon, it might actually be worth to run 2 Val animate weapons gems in a 6-link, so it's like a double 5-link, so you can use Val animate weapon twice. But
Wait.
know.
While animate weapons add on top,
Mhm.
Yes,
can you
yes,
have
yes.
multiple charges for Val weapons?
No, sadly only once, and the soul gain prevention is really long.
But you can still do the the soul gain prevention and the reduce souls use, and then use the repair flask to kind of instantly charge it. So you just summon more and more weapons.
I think
have
it
to
has
look into
its
that.
own separate cap.
Yeah, it definitely has
Ah.
its own. Like my base is like 16 animate weapons, and the Val animate weapon says animates up to 11, and I definitely have both maximums up at the same time. They're separate on top of the buff counter, and yeah, I mean it's promising, it's fun. It's not the strongest that I've ever played, and like I said, I'm taking it really slow. I've been saying to people, I'm like, you know, first and foremost a content creator this league, and I'm a player second. And it's gonna be another 4-month league, so you gotta pace yourself, right? I'm not looking to be done with the game in like a month or
It's
so.
a 2-month.
I am.
It's a 2-month.
Diablo 2 is waiting for me.
I've got,
Oh,
we've
sorry,
got
Diablo
D4 to
4.
play. Yeah.
I mean, it's a 1-month league, right? If you burn out like me.
Are you close to burnout, Slippery Jim? How have your Crucible encounters been going?
Every 4 hours, my mood changes. It's like, I'm having the best time. This is so much fun. And then I'm just like, I hate myself. I'm going to re-level. I'm having more fun in the campaign than I am in the game. And that's because I don't do the Crucible in the campaign, I suppose, if I had to guess. That's pretty brutal, isn't it? No, it's, yeah. I don't know. It's fine. I'm trying to hunt this like recombinated, reforged mod. And I'm fairly certain they're just RNG. I don't think there's any logic to them at all. Because there's like 25 in existence with the mod on it. Out of everyone that's reforging things. Like, how is that possible? You think people would people do accidentally get out. What was the question?
So can you clarify again? You're looking for a specific primeval map with a mod.
There's a mod in Crucible. There's a couple of mods in Crucible that you can only get by combining trees.
Yeah, so combine only passive skills on the Crucible tree.
They must just be like, I'm assuming they're like mirror tier rarity, and the mod on the weapon has nothing to do with it. That's what I'm assuming, because I've tried so many times with specific mods, because I'm going like strength stacking, trying to find one of the strength stacking ones. So I'm getting trees with a bunch of strength and another tree with a bunch of strength, and I'm slamming together and I get garbage. Well, what's the point? And there's not even anything that's like, oh, this one reforged into like a little bit more strength. No, they're just complete shit. That's okay though. You know, there's a little bit in this for everyone. How many pills do I have? 2. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So Balor, do you still engage with the Crucible? Are you doing anything, or are you just skipping it?
I am doing what I think everybody is doing, which is engaging with the Crucible every single map and just telling myself it's good enough to warrant me doing that.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd just be playing Standard League essentially.
Yeah. I'm doing it every map. I pick up an item off the floor and I channel it every single map, and I'm just gonna keep pretending this worth it.
Any divines so far? Any like good currency returns?
No, not even a single usable bow. And I've been
Wow.
doing spine bows for 3 days. I bought the bow I'm wearing now, the tree for it, and then crafted it. And I've got a higher item level bow that we bought the tree for as well, that I'm crafting my upgrade on because I haven't got a single usable tree in 3 straight days.
Oh. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of approaches to it. Like, I'm really bad prepared all the time, so I always like walk into the Crucible, like, oh, I don't have a weapon, and then I just walk around in the map and look. Oh, maybe there's like a siege axe or a titanium spirit or something that I can quickly plug in and unlock the tree, and then it's trash, and then I throw it on the ground and continue with my life. I did get like one item that at a tier 3 node gave me 20 scours, so I quickly ranked that up. If you like full send, you don't even need to full send. Like if you go 80% plus ish, between 80 and 90, you can unlock it in 5 encounters, the tier 3 node. It's not too bad, but I mean that's an additional 4 scours per map basically, so it's not the end of the world.
When I was Poison SRS, I was just full sending it, like from day one, 100% channel.
Oh yeah, I did that in the acts as well, but like during maps now I fell behind, and I'm trying to push into red maps, and in tier 14 plus it's incredibly brutal.
I wasn't sure what everyone was complaining about because I was playing Poison SRS. I was just full channeling everything. Then I made another character and full channeled. I was like, oh, this hurts a lot. And so I've started doing like 92% channels now because there's like a really big gap between 90 and 100.
Oh yeah. The exponential scaling is crazy. But hey, at least now we get to know exactly where we're going, like how far we're going. And I even like I like the color coding and the keyword where it says like normal, hard, lethal, and whatnot, or brutal or whatever. I don't remember exactly which words it is, but it definitely is a lot better now after the patches. Yeah, should we talk a little bit about the patch? Do you think it's in a good place now after the changes?
No.
Which patch?
No.
Well, both, I guess. Like we had one patch, the 3.21.0b, which came out right after we did the podcast on Monday with the other guys, where Balor wasn't there. So directly on Tuesday, we get some small numerical adjustments where like the monsters got a little bit less tanky, and the difference between like a full channel and a mid-range channel wasn't that big anymore. So it was actually, that was a big thing that was complained about. It felt like you had to almost full send in order for it to be worth it. And now it feels like you get a decent amount of experience and progression to the next node, even if you just do half, and it's fairly safe. And there was some other adjustments, but
there was a patch they did which completely killed a build I wanted to play. Like mid-league nerf destroyed it. I was so looking forward. It was the bloody Twister build. I was so looking forward to playing that Twister build again.
Wait, what changed?
Oh, they made like the cooldown have a base duration of 100 milliseconds. So now you need to stack like cooldown recovery to make it smaller. And the smallest I think you can get it is to like 66 milliseconds, which according to GGG is double the DPS of previous league. But that's a flat lie because they're importing some mirror tier build and yeah, look at that. Ugh.
What? I was gonna farm this.
Oh, sorry. I mean, no, it's still GGG levels of good now, but it's not good as.
Wait, I don't understand this change. What cooldown? The twisters
Like,
have their own
skill.
cooldown.
Like when you flip flop between the effects
Yeah.
or the bird effect, the cooldown
Oh.
for twister actually triggering. So you could flip flop rapidly quicker than this, but you're only ever going to get twisters at that rate.
So, yeah, but trigger bots works.
The what?
Trigger bots
Trigger
works from Sabatoro.
Sure.
They run
I mean,
ahead of you
that's-
and create twisters.
That's their logic, I guess. Is it's double damage because if you go trigger bots, you get more.
Yeah, every trigger build is now balanced around the existence of Saboteur.
It's fine though. It's warranted. There was like a video of a guy like taking out a server with the build because it was too much. But if you didn't have that guy, I could have run around with slither pinches and gone fishing. But no, one guy had to ruin it for everyone else.
Damn.
So it's a shame. I interrupted. What were you saying?
I wasn't saying anything.
You were saying something.
I was curious about your guys' opinion of the patch changes. So maybe let me summarize real quick. So the 321.0b made the damage reduction go down, so Crucible monsters are a little bit easier to kill when they're not channeled to max difficulty. We had less life on Crucible monsters in early game, but at all levels actually. Crucible bosses by approximately 20%. Higher drop rate for the geodes. Better Crucible passive skill tree experience gained from the encounters, especially when not fully channeled. That's the one where I meant they kind of, closed the gap that was huge a little bit between channeling half and channeling full. And then some other minor fixes. But the big patch this Friday or Thursday, like 2 days ago, so it was Thursday. This one actually is the most important one, in my opinion, to make the league at least serviceable, because this one actually added the indicators. So you actually are able to tell now when you're channeling how much channeling you've done and how close you are to fully channeling the encounter. And they made it so that the first nodes don't have the bad downsides for the most part anymore. And they made it a little bit easier to get the trees on the uniques. Plus some minor fixes.
That indicator already existed in the game. It was yeah, it did. It was it was like built into the UI, and it didn't have a number or a easy, medium, hard next to it. But based on how like orange the bar got as it filled up, that was like 60% when it started getting orange, and then it started vibrating at like 80%, and then right after it finished vibrating is when it would crack open at 100%. It was like it was in there the entire time, and people.
I'm pretty sure that bar just represented the amount of expected return that you'd get from the experience from the monsters, which is why that bar also did these huge jumps, because as you channel longer, you got more rares and uniques to spawn, and whenever a rare or unique spawned in the encounter, that's when it jumped up. But it didn't actually like tell you like how much of the channeling time you progressed through the thing.
Is there 2 bars? I'm gonna go open one so I can figure out. I can't visualize.
Well, now you see the bar like on the progress to the next node. You see how much progress you get, and it tells you a percentage sign of how far you can go. Like a percentage. So it's not terrible anymore.
Yeah, but it's still not enough. Like if you want to just charge to reach the node, like how do you know how much do you need to charge? If you don't look at even if you look at the bar, it's still not very clear. Like you can charge the 99% of what you need. Like it's still missing.
The circle bit will glow orange, like a brighter orange.
I'm colorblind. I don't see those colors.
Well, it's more intense. So color doesn't really matter. It's fully grayed out, and then it gets like a brighter. I guess it would look lighter for you if you're colorblind, but it like changes color, and it's like it's nothing, and then it's slightly something, and then it's something else completely different. So
what
like
if I don't want to overcharge by like 5%? Because
you won't.
Like
if you hit it, if you stop right when it does the little tiny glowy bit.
But it still keeps charging.
Well, then you take the button, you stop clicking, stop channeling.
Yeah, but it still keeps charging. Yeah, no. When you stop
No.
pressing the button, it keeps charging.
Yeah, it
No.
doesn't stop exactly in time with when you
Yeah, it doesn't.
let go. It absolutely doesn't.
Because
Let
it
go-
kind of shows
let go before
animation
it
like,
gets to that point, then, and then see where you're at, and then click it a couple more times.
oh my god.
Well, I don't know. Well,
All
I
right.
mean, that's not a good design.
It's terrible design. They don't have a single UX person there. I'm positive of it.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with the UI, especially seeing that the entire league was postponed by a month. I was so sure that this was going to be a banger league, right? I actually expected it was like a little bit of a bigger expansion beforehand, because I was like, well, we haven't had a big expansion. I know they said they're not doing big endgame expansions anymore, like the Atlas stuff, but I thought maybe we get like a big crafting overhaul, maybe like something for melee, and then it's pretty much only the league. Like beside the league, there's very little content or very little like changes that were implemented. But yeah, before the league started, I actually thought, well, then the league must be really polished, right? They had like an entire extra month to put work into the league, and they actually also like were really proud that they were giving the league to the beta testers 1 week before the league start, and it just has me puzzled so hard. We already, went over this ad nauseum in the First Impressions podcast on Monday evening, but I'm so confused. Where did all that extra time go? And what did the league look like before the 1 week of alpha testing?
Rootless.
Can I say something? That I went.
Yep.
I looked. It vibrates at 80%. Like it's got nothing to do with how far it's filled, because you could fill it like a quarter if you're on the level 5. But if the bar starts vibrating, that means you're at 80%, and then if you go a little past that, it'll break everything out. So the UI was already in there. Like all the values were in there. It was just like hidden in a fancy UI without any numbers or words. And then, they're like, this is too hard. And they're like, they didn't even put font on it. They just put it threw up a Times New Roman percentage calculator and quickly patched it so that people can, instead of using their eyes, they have to use their eyes easier. Yeah, look at it. Ready? The bar filling up has nothing. You ready? Watch the bar.
This has nothing to do with the progress. The bar filling up is
let
just...
Let go of it.
Look at how much further that channel.
See how the bar's vibrating? That means you're near 80%. And see,
is it vibrating?
Yes.
Yeah, but
if
it's
you
so
were at
minimal.
60%, it would only. Yeah, it is minimal. But once I figured that out, I started really enjoying the league, and then they patched it in with a fucking Times New Roman percentage number. Anyway, whichever GGG guy designed that really cool UI, I noticed you. Good work. I'm the one person in the league who fucking.
But there's like no granularity. I mean,
what do you
whether
mean?
it vibrates or not is not a big, there's no tell.
Well, yeah,
what I really want to say,
we're playing
I
Diablo
enjoy that. Look, that it doesn't start anymore if you don't leave the circle. I'm pretty sure in the beginning it started even if you didn't leave this, even if you did leave the circle, right? As long as you stopped channeling, it started within a couple of seconds. Now you can stand here forever.
It didn't.
Only if you were full channeled. If you're full channeled, it'll go.
Okay. Yeah, then maybe I just always did the full send.
All right.
I mean,
I'm very angry about this league. I don't know if I like it or hate it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry.
You're angry, but you don't know whether you like it or hate it.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
I'm
passionate about the league, whether it's a good way or a bad way.
Have a little rant. I'm going to go on a little bit of a spiel, because I actually think this league should be, and still could be, absolutely fantastic. The idea is fantastic. The UI is still the worst league UI I've ever seen. It's absolutely abysmal. But there's a few things that they've done that I think if they fixed it, I'm gonna fucking armchair development bitch this thing real quick, if you'll all allow me. There's a few things that I think they could just change, and the whole thing gets miles better. One, I don't think we should have to channel at every single forge. I think we should only have to channel if we're going to change the amount of juice we're going to put in, either up or down. So let me select an amount of juice I want to do at each forge. Say I want to go to 75%. And there's a really cool channel UI and everything changes while it goes to 75%. And if I'm happy to do 75 on every map from then on, until I change my decision, there's just a button. Just click, go, click, go, click, go. Every one of them is at 75%. If I want to make the encounters harder, I can choose to change that, change the channel. It'll be 85% now. Next map, click, it'll be 85%. Click, it'll be 85%. Done. Right? So that's the awkwardness of using it fixed. Second thing, it is absolutely stupid that uniques can't just have trees on them to begin with. The trees are already usually bad, and we're fishing for good ones anyway. And I'm fine with that. RNG is part of the game, but the uniques should just have a tree on them. If I drop a unique I can use that's plentiful in my map, I would love to throw it in the Crucible, ID a tree. If it's really good, keep it and get excited. If it's bad, drop it back on the floor. That would be great. I would love that. There's no reason at all to stop people from actively engaging with the league mechanic because they happen to be using a common unique weapon. That's stupid. Second, there's also no reason why I can't smash a rare item into a unique. That doesn't break the game. That doesn't do anything. I've still got to fish for this really good tree. I've still got to go through all of the work. There's no reason that because I choose to use a Void Forge, I now have to buy 72 Void Forges at 15 divines apiece because I have to look for trees on all of them and smash them together. That's ridiculous. You've ruled out both cheap usable uniques and expensive uniques from engaging with the league mechanic at all. That's silly. So we don't want that. That should go away. All uniques should just have a tree just like rares, and I should be able to smash the same type of rare into a unique. So if I'm using a two-handed sword, still needs to be a two-handed sword, but I can smash a rare tree into it. Next.
I agree on the second one, but not the first or the third one. Sorry, keep going.
Third, I haven't done the third yet.
Well, part B of the second one then.
Completely disagree.
Slippery is disagreeing with my next
I
idea.
agree with there should be unique. There should be trees in every unique, but you shouldn't be allowed to smash normal things into uniques.
Right. Okay. So the next thing is that the forge thing, the forge maps that we're given that do the cool stuff, that do all the coolest stuff that we want. One, far too difficult. Now, to be clear, I'm able to run them. No problem. I can run any of them. I can run any map mod. It doesn't matter. I can run all of them. This is not too difficult to me, but it is ridiculously difficult. They are ridiculously difficult. I haven't seen a single one that I would be like, yeah, an average player could just run that map with whatever build they're running. That's ridiculous. They're all stupidly inaccessible. This is only saved by the fact that you don't have to engage with it at all. You have to do nothing in the entire map. Just run to the end and ignore everything. And that's the only reason anyone outside of the top few percent can even do it, because they don't have to do it at all. If you don't want us to engage with it, because it's not a map and I can just run and skip to the end, don't make it a map. Just make it an item I can use in my hideout, just like a recombinator was, and I'll use it that way. If you want me to engage in the map, make them somewhat reasonable to be able to run, and also have it so I have to clear some of it, because otherwise it's not a mechanic.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Like, let's cut off here. I'm sure you have more points, but give everyone else a chance to voice their opinion on the points that you already brought up, because it's kind of loaded already now.
I didn't say rant. Thank you. I'll stop.
Yeah, that's true. We could have chopped it into the different points.
Let's start back with the first one, and then we can do an argument for each one.
Okay, the first one was?
I wasn't
the
listening.
fact that you can't combine onto uniques, the rares.
No, the first one was I don't like having to channel at every single thing for 8 years.
Your solution is bullshit. The real solution is the Tujin slider.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay with that. That'd be great.
It should keep the amount percentage that you have, and it just feels like a cheap way to scam players out of their momentum, basically, by first having them channel a couple of seconds and then waiting a couple of seconds until the monsters spawn. So like all your endurance, frenzy, and power charges are gone, and your headhunter buffs are halfway gone, and it's like it just artificially increases the difficulty for people who play momentum-based builds.
Yep. Also, if you're wearing a headhunter, it's fine, because those buffs last 60 seconds. So if you're rich enough to have a headhunter, you're great. But if your build relies on charges and maybe one inspired learning, because that's all you can afford, I guarantee you your inspired learning buffs are gone. They're only 20 seconds long. They're gone.
Can you lend me a headhunter?
I don't even have my own.
What the hell? Can you farm me a headhunter? No? You got friends
No.
like that? Oh.
But yeah, a Tujin style slider that saved the last percent I was at. That'd be great.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
What do you
Okay.
think will feel on the channeling part?
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand how we did not put anything to click. Like it feels so artificially trying to slow you down. We don't want to remove your speed, but here's a mechanic that it takes forever to channel and then wait, and then sometimes you want to stop in case you overcharge and see how much you charge, and then click again and then charge again. Oh my god, I don't want to. I don't even want to interact with Crucible because of that.
Well, I'm gonna say, like, I think the channeling is awesome for flavor reasons, right? And it's awesome for channeling with a controller on console, because you do, if you had a slider or like buttons, it would be a little bit harder to interact with on a controller, and it would also the way that it channels right now that we see the percentage, I think if it would go any faster, then it would be hard to stop at exactly the percentage that you want. So if they decide to go with the channeling, I don't think they could make it faster, but I think the delay for the encounter to start when you stop channeling should be non-existent, or there should at least be, it should instantly start once you leave the circle, right? It should, like, you should channel to full and then it doesn't start as long as you stay in the circle, but then once you go out of the circle, instantly start, so that you can determine when it starts and then there's no delay to it. And all of this, like, just hooks back into like one overarching complaint I have about the UI and the interaction with the league, and that's just that the game doesn't tell you anything about how it works. I mean, it's a little bit better now with the UI, but it's so unintuitive how it works. Like in the beginning, when I went into my first encounter in where was that, in the submerged passage, I got mostly fire monsters, right? And I was like, okay, so this is a little bit like ritual. Like every encounter is themed. This one is a fire one, then the next one maybe a physical one or a chaos one. And then later on, I noticed it's just completely, it seemed to be just completely random. There seemed to be no pattern at all, right? Different types of monsters are spawning in the same
Oh, they
encounter.
patched that out.
Did
You
they?
know about that, right? Yeah. Like the monsters used to indicate what type of tree you got. So people were like, if you were fighting fire monsters, you'd get a fire focused tree. So people would see the monsters and then log out and then keep re-rolling the tree on their items for free. And they patched it very quickly. So now it doesn't matter what monsters you fight, but it used to be very deterministic.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that it actually depends on the first node of the item that you're progressing. So I haven't still found out whether that actually is true throughout the entire progression of the item, but certainly seems to have been true for the first node that you're progressing towards. But you say that's gone completely now, so it's always random?
Now the monsters don't relate to what tree it is. That's the only thing they changed. So now, like, there's no theme of the monsters kind of thing. Like, if your tree is not fire, I don't know. It was just it was like a weird niche thing. They're like, yeah, players won't find a way to abuse this, and then they're like, oh my god, people are abusing it. What the hell? And then they like patched it. It's fine. I don't know if like there's any theme to like what you're unlocking and what type of monster you fight. There might be. I haven't paid enough attention.
Well, another problem with the channeling is that it plays animation how monsters kind of get melted down and then like slowly pulled to the other side and then creates a new monster out of that. So how would that work if it was like instant? That is probably also part of this design why it has to be channeled to kind of visually display monsters. I don't know.
They'd want to slow us down artificially, but the way they've done it is painful for us because we have to hold our mouse on the thing. If it was just scroll it and press a button, I'd be okay with the waiting however long it waits.
Yeah, you just press the button and then wait.
Coming in off the screen to murder me while I'm fucking moving my mouse onto a
the
button.
thing about if I just had to walk up and press a button and I had to wait for the visual to still happen would be that I could walk in, press the button, I know what button I'm pressing anyway, and then I could clear that room and come back as it opens, like I do with breaches that open too slowly or abyss cracks while they're moving or anything else. And that would be great. I'm fine with that. You don't have to get rid of all the visual
stuff. Why did you start that
stuff.
sentence like it was going to be a problem?
I didn't.
It sounded like you were about to lead into an argument. You're like, the thing with that would be if they did that, it would be great, and that's why they didn't do it. That's what I thought you were going for. Like,
Which
Jesus,
is
pretty
look, I'm very frustrated. I'm very happy because PoE's base game is back in a good spot again. And if the base game was in the same spot it was in the Calandra League, I'd have quit already because the league is quite not great. But it could have been. It could have been, and it still could be. It's very close. All the ideas are fantastic. The trees that you can get are super interesting. It's like there isn't a single person in the entire company whose job is UX. That's what it feels like. It feels like there's not a single dedicated UX person who works there. Not one. Because it's like everything's such a great idea from like a design philosophy. Like it's all fantastic. I love
there are good
it,
UX people, but the people there's like another person in the behind Chris in his right ear, like a little angel and a little devil, and the little devil guy's got a bigger voice. And the UX guy just has to make what he's given. It's not like the UX guy designs it and that the gameplay people that are in charge of slowing us down go, we'll give all the power to the UX guy. He can decide how the mechanic works. The UX guy just gets a thing that says, I have to make a button. I'm gonna fucking make such a good button. And that's what they do. It's not like they're deciding the gameplay elements. You're getting the job mixed up there. The UX people, they're doing fine. They're not designing gameplay.
Now that we're in the territory of speculating what's happening on GGG's, and I just think all the good UX people are working on PoE too.
Yeah, that is what I was going to say as well. Maybe we are, maybe, who knows?
Because this league doesn't feel like a league that was made by the same people who made like Ultimatum or Ritual or anything. This feels like it was made by a skeleton crew in a very, very limited amount of time. And definitely not in the 4 months that we waited for this league.
I really don't understand how they took 4 months rather than 3 months and still feels like it was designed in like 2 months or 1.5.
I mean, it's pure speculation. I don't know how hard it is to make a league. And we gave them a lot of benefit of the doubt last podcast on Monday evening in the first impressions, because we're like, it's admirable that they've been keeping up this high frequency of like 3-4 expansions every league and all the good stuff. But now that we have seen the patches and we see the direction that it's going and likely where we're going to end up with this league, I feel like we can be very critical.
Okay. So here's a theory. Since 2021, it feels like there's been 2 separate teams working on PoE 1 that each get 6 months to design a league. Now, hang on, wait for me. I've made this up, by the way, like not on my own. I just mean there's no proof of this at all. Crucible, right now. Horrible UX design. As far as I'm concerned right now, as it stands, if it doesn't patch, the league itself is a failure. The game's in a great state, so I'm still having a really good time, but the league itself, failure. Last league, Forbidden Sanctum. Sanctum was amazing. That was a great league. I loved it. Good team. League before that, Calandra. Horrible failure. Terrible. League before that, Sentinel. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic league. League before that, Arch Nemesis. Everyone hated it. Horrible league. League before that, Scourge League. Excellent league. Fantastic. Everybody loved it. It goes in a good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad pattern for the last 2 years.
Well, you just made a whole lot of enemies. What was in Team B?
Doesn't that make it worse? So if we're saying now that there was a team that had 6 months to develop this league?
I don't know, man. Look, I just made all of that up, to be fair. Like, I have no idea how anything works at GGG. I'm not over that. I'm just saying, last 2 years, from my point of view, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, just over and over again.
I like this game at heart, or this league at heart. Like, I think the idea is a very good one. It feels very PoE, and aside from the mechanic itself, it's a straight up improvement over Scourge, I think, because Scourge didn't allow you to bake the items while they were equipped. Sure, you had the separate slots that you don't have now, and now you have to use your inventory or your B set, but at the same time, you can work on the items that you have equipped at a time, and the modifications that you add don't have as bad downsides as during Scourge. And I think there's, like, on the top end, a lot more power gain that you can get out of it than Scourge. Plus, the modifications are not final. But my biggest problem with the League is that the League does jack all to tell you how it works. There is no assessment of risk reward when A, the game doesn't tell you what risk you're getting yourself into, because it doesn't tell you what kind of monsters you're spawning, and it doesn't tell you how much difficulty you're adding to the encounter, which has been alleviated somewhat by the UI patch now on Thursday. But still, I think that the problem is that the game just doesn't tell you how it works. I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast, and so many people were flabbergasted when they found out, oh, wait, you can actually remove nodes by using a scour on the node in an encounter. That's
Yeah,
so
just bring a
unintuitive.
scour with you in your inventory into the map with the item. Go to the UI, open the item up to channel it, and then open your inventory and use the scour on it. It's ridiculous.
But you don't even need to channel the encounter to use the scour. So, like, why does it only work in an encounter? Why can I not just do it in my hideout? And then on top of that, I mean, they admitted that now in the live updates, right? But there was no way to do it on a controller at all. Like, one of my friends, longtime follower, is playing on a controller for health reasons with his hands, and he's been telling me, like, from day 3, he's like, guys, does anyone know how to bring up the Crucible tree, like, with a scour on your cursor? Because I can't seem to be doing it with my my scour.
You've also just touched on the final point that I had that was a problem with this league. The I forget what I was up to, 4th or 5th or final bit of my rant problem. I've had enough of RNG shit that has downsides. If you decide that 100 flat lightning is too much power to give me and you need to give me a downside to balance it, just give me less. Stop doing things that can ruin the build in RNG related ways. If you need to have a good and a bad mod, you should have this one. If you get lucky and you get the good mod, has 100 flat cold. And if you get unlucky, here's 18 flat cold. And you get, just a very little bit. And you're like, oh, damn, I didn't hit the good node. And there shouldn't be deal 17 flat cold. You can't chill. And no upside. Like, you can't chill. And you're like, okay, but I was using hypothermia. Some build ruined. Other builds not going to care. But some build ruined. It's okay when you get combined trees later on that are like, can't chill or freeze, can brittle, right? Like, that's like, okay, we're changing things and we're doing things down. But why am I unlocking why am I unlocking trees that can, like, do negative things? Like, it just seems, I don't know, I've just had enough of it. They keep putting negatives with positives. Just give me less of the positives. Stop giving me downsides.
I have a take on this, but I want to let the other people talk first because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
I actually don't know. I don't like small positives. Then it feels kind of pointless or not exciting enough.
Well, they're the
I would
fail
rather
ones.
have. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the bad negatives at the start, but like in general, I would rather even see bigger negatives, but even bigger positives. Then you would have to work around those negatives more to get those positives.
Right.
Like now it's just like let's say imagine you get like 3% increased attack speed, but minus 1% global damage. Like that's not interesting. But if it's like 10% increased attack speed, but minus 10% global damage, that's more interesting. Make it even more. 50% increased attack speed, but I don't know, 50% less global damage. So I'm like, well, that would be OP probably in some cases. But I mean, you get the point. I would still rather have bigger negatives, but bigger positives.
I think there are some that are like that, but they're recombo ones only.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think I saw like a 40% attack speed, but then like 50 reduced attack damage or something shit like that. It was just really weird.
And I'm okay with that in like at the end of the tree when I'm like right at the end or I'm recombinating things. It's not called recombinating, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that's fine, but like it feels real bad. You're using a weapon or a shield right now, and you're like, "Ah, just crafted this is great," and then you put on something shit. And yes, we can scour it away, but like, you're ruining my item. You're making my item worse, and that is not a good feeling. I feel like it's just, for me at least, it's not fun to get downsides. I don't enjoy it. It was the part of Scourge that I hated as well, was big downsides. I don't know. It's just,
Maybe they're the same team and Scorched.
I mean, most of Scourge I like. To be fair, I loved Scourge. Scourge was a great league. Just the one part of it that I didn't like was the downsides that came with items. That's all.
Scourge was a great blasting mechanic. In map, it
I
was
actually
really
don't
fun.
remember Scorch.
What? Like
Just
switching
remember
into the Scourge realm and like
Blizzards.
having the super dangerous monsters, but you had so
What
much
Beyond
control
is now.
over it.
All the Beyond monsters are Scourge monsters.
Ah,
Yeah.
those.
It was basically you get a map, but then you get another map inside your map. The league. Yeah, it's good shit.
Well, before I speak on this, Slippery Jim, what do you think of downsides? You like downside?
It's not Ritual League, so stop putting Ritual on all my fucking items, GGG. No, fuck downsides.
Ritual had downsides?
What? Ritual bases. They're all just like, oh, here's some shit that's like a small sandwich, and then here's you getting hit by a truck. That's a ritual item. Like a massive downside and like a little bonus.
Yeah,
now they're like, you know
the
what
block
people
boots
love?
that make you take damage from blocks and stuff.
You know what people loved in Ritual was our ritual bases. Yeah, let's make every item a ritual base. This isn't even the first league where they've done that. So I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. They use it too much.
The only
Okay,
one that
so-
got widespread use was a Blizzard Crown, and that was because the upside and downside were essentially the same thing. Like they were both directly related to this exact kind of damage, and they gave you more of the upside than they gave you of the downside. It would have the same generic effect if they just took away roughly that amount of damage from the negative of Blizzard Crown and just gave you just the positive, but with a lower number, same effect. But it wouldn't be confusing, and I wouldn't have to answer questions from new players about whether it's worth wearing that because of the downside.
I'd be okay with it if recombinating things made sense. Like if I recombinated 2 minion lives that have like plus minion life, less minion life recovery, and it made it even into an even bigger one, I'd be fine. But it's not. You put those two together and they fuck off into existence, and then you're going to do it 70 more times, and then you finally get it when you could have just bought like a primordial might and be done. What's the point? So I just...
There is something to forging items together. I don't understand it. But there are definitely people who made a buttload of money by successfully recombining the divine things together over and over again and removing split bases and things like that. So there is some sort of like rule set to it that I don't understand at all.
There is one guild that is making siege axes that sell for the unique version and the champion shield. This one guild is making every single item on trade that has that sale on it, where you sell. They're controlling the entire market, this one guild. And all their accounts are private.
There's also...
These fuckers, what are they doing?
There's also a group of people with several thousand divines by doing it from the divine items.
Yeah, but that's
how does that work? Is there like I've heard that there's a
guaranteed.
secret strat to guarantee it. Like at first I thought it was just gambling, but like do meta mods apply to it? Or
so I don't know how the recombining works, but I do know exactly what it is they're doing. I just don't know how to make it more successful than it is unsuccessful. But the deal is they've recombined a weapon that has drops for 3 divines and vendors for double. So it's a 6 divine item. And so they split it. And then now you've got 2 of them. And then they take them to the recombiner altar. And they put those new mods, they put the 6 divine and the self for double. And they merge that with a different tree. And move those mods onto a tree more often than they fail. It seems to be about 60%. They have some sort of control over it. I don't understand how that works. But it's more often than it fails. The new item was a different item. It doesn't have the split tag anymore. They take it back over to the fossil or or the bench, they split it again, and then they go back into a new forge. And then they just do that on repeat. And then they just vendor all the items for tons and tons and tons of exalt orbs.
Damn. Well, I just don't want to present my take on the downsides. I personally think that the downsides can make it really interesting. There's some combinations that I don't like, and there's others that I really like. There's like, for example, I think you can get cast speed at the cost of global damage on your build, and obviously sometimes you're playing a minion build, for example, so your global damage doesn't matter, but the cast speed matters because it's how fast you get the minions out. There's some interesting stuff where you can benefit from the upside without having the downside apply to what you're actually doing, and that is cool. But I totally agree with the first note. And they did change that, admittedly, for the most part. The first node shouldn't have downsides that destroy your build, or it shouldn't have downsides at all, because you don't know what you're opting into on the first node before you unlock it. And then the fact that you need to bring a scour into the encounter in the map, right? I just don't understand that if you can use a scour on the tree, why can you not do that in your hideout? It's like the same as Sanctum last league, where if I have 8 rooms saved up, why can I not visit the Sanctum from my hideout? Why do I have to go into the next map and then go into the Sanctum and do it from there rather than being able to do it from my hideout? Where with the Sanctum, I kind of understand it a little bit more, but with this, it just makes zero sense, and it just seems to be like it was harder to implement that way, to be able to bring up the passive tree or to be able to use a scour while the passive tree is open. But I would say that you should be able to unallocate it for free, because there's already this huge opportunity cost where if you unallocate the node, you can't get the nodes that are gated behind that, right? And also you put a lot of time and effort into unlocking the node in the first place. Why do you also need to pay a scour in order to unallocate it, especially in the first acts where you don't even have a scour most of the time, right? You can brick your leveling weapon and then you have no way to recover it, and you just have to change into a different item. It's just so puzzling how the scour mechanic basically like screws over people at the very beginning of the game. And the very beginning of the game is already, for many people, the hardest part. And that's like what PoE struggles the most with, is like onboarding new players. And I've seen someone earlier in the chat say that the game doesn't tell you at all how it works, and that's just not a specific critique of the Crucible, but it's the entire game. But that's wrong, because we have the help index, right? Where you can actually look up some vendor recipes, you can look up some mechanics, some stuff in the game itself. So I don't understand why there's not a little bit more of an extensive explanation of what you're getting yourself into if you're actually doing the Crucible stuff.
We talked about that in the past, why we don't add more stuff into the health, because one thing I do remember we said that not many people use the help panel, and the other thing is, why add something and spend time adding something in there if the league is not going into the core game? So then we would have to remove. I'm talking about like this league mechanics explanation in the help panel. Like we never add stuff like that in the help panel.
Or maybe we should start. It's like, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, by the way. It's like, we should update the help panel because no one's using it. It's like, yeah, maybe if it was updated information, it was relevant, and people would see streamers look up stuff there, then it'd be like, oh, there's information in the game that I can use that is actually accurate. Because I think most people would trust first-hand information from the game more than something that's listed on an external wiki or something like that, where you always have to double, triple, quadruple check whether it's actually been updated since the new patch.
We always had tendency to rely on players to make guides and make like create information, discover everything, and tell others about it, rather than themselves do like a bare minimum explanation about the game.
I mean, to be fair, right? I get what they're going for, but like there could also just be like a little question mark in the top right corner of the user interface for Crucible that just gives you a basic 3 or 4 paragraph rundown if you're just getting into the game. I mean, this league also doesn't have an NPC that introduces you to the mechanic. It just feels, as someone who's just picking up the game and getting into the game and trying to play it without having read the announcement, without having listened to the interview with Chris that the D did in the end of the announcement and stuff, it just feels so unwelcoming.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
You know how some games and MMOs I actually don't remember the exact example. Like we teach you about the game a bit, and then give like a quiz where you have to answer about the game. Like we ask the question and see if you learned. What if Path of Exile had that? Like we teach you about the game a bit, and then if you don't answer the questions, if you don't pass the quiz, you cannot even play the game. Basically, like a university.
Sounds terrible. I mean, people already have a feeling
Yeah.
of like, I cannot play this game unless I study like 200
already
wiki
have
Yeah, I
that.
pages
mean
beforehand.
that's how
There you
life
have-
works.
I already have that. It's in hardcore, but if you fail, you just lose your character.
Just buy.
And if you die. I have an idea on how to do that splitting for divine thing, but I don't have the divine thing. So if you get a divine thing, give it to me and I'll do it for you. This isn't a scam. No, I'm pretty sure I know how to like anyway. If you figure out how recombinating works, I'll swap information and tell you how the divine thing works.
All right, let's pick up a question from chat now that we had all our takes on that. And I mean, that's completely plays into the topic list, basically. How does everyone feel about the currency loot coming from the vendors rather than the encounter itself? Because the monsters seem to be basically dropping almost nothing. At least not.
Meh.
It's not proportional to the difficulty at all.
Yeah, coming from the last league feels like really bad. Like last league, just do the sanctum, get loot. Like every time I did like full sanctum, I got at least couple divines. Here's and plus all the other currency and plus like raw divines. This league, I can't even interact with the league because like if I'm leveling a new character and using a unique items, well, I can't even like charge it. And what's the point of picking up random like low level items while leveling to charge it? So there's so little interaction going through the campaign. I pretty much don't even, as many people say, that it's basically playing a standard league now. And in the maps, uh, I, I had a fight. It took like probably close to 10 minutes to kill the boss. It was very fast and pretty much one-shotted me every single time. And I dropped 3 rare items. So that's like, sure, I understand it. It's not supposed to like drop divines for such a fight, but and my build could be better, of course, but it just doesn't feel like there are any special rewards. It's just random rare items, and there's no. If those rare items were dropping with the like special unlock passes, then it would be interesting. Then you could just pick it up and see if you got some good passives, and yeah, that way it could be more interesting. But now it's like there's nothing special. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the delayed rewards. I love if there's a carrot on the stick, and if it takes a long time to get there, there's some great long-term motivation in the league. But historically, I feel, or in general, a good league always has that delayed reward aspect, but also some immediate rewards for engaging with the encounters, especially seeing that the encounters are so massively more difficult than anything else that we've seen so far, I think, or like in the same map at least, right? I mean, yeah, I had some monsters early on that I couldn't kill at all. I couldn't even get their health bar to move, and then I abandoned them. And by the way, if you abandon an encounter before you kill all the rares and uniques, you don't get anything, right? You don't even get a part of the experience. You get nothing towards the progression. But also, I went into the map boss and then proceeded to kill it in 2 seconds. And I went back and and wasn't able to damage the rare, which just seems very, very punishing. I mean, I guess it's optional, so that you can mention that as a positive aspect, right? The extreme difficulty is something that you opt into. But
It's tagged as easy when you do 20% and then medium at 40% and stuff progressing into like Doom levels of insane. You shouldn't be able to handle this if you use Reddit, that kind of thing. Like it's the whole like Chris wants the players to have the opportunity to fuck themselves because he knows they'll do it every time. Every opportunity they get, they'll fuck themselves. Am I allowed to swear here? I'm doing it anyway.
That's good. that part of it is good, at least in my. I like that I can
It's good.
channel it to disgustingly difficult
It's
levels.
good that you can fuck yourselves. It's just bad that players don't. They're not smart enough to know that they shouldn't. And then they chalk it up to being this league's shit because I stepped on 3 landmines on purpose and now I don't have any legs. Like, no, you're not supposed to step on landmines, you idiot. It's hard for a reason. What do you mean?
And now I don't have any
we
legs.
built you a bridge over here, 20% bridge, just take it. You got to do it. Take the bridge 5 times and you'll still get to the same result as you will on the landmine field. But no, players got to take the short way because it's fucking clear speed. I don't know. It's fun to watch, like, hardcore rips.
I'll definitely agree with you for the first part of the league, right? Like, because the UI did a very poor job of telling you when it's full and how much more difficult it gets. At least now there's like a warning where it says like brutal, lethal, and like color coding, right? So now there's pretty much no excuse for people who want to go full ham if they die to it.
It's basically the equivalent of like the dev saying "get good." Like, we warned you, but you didn't listen. Here's a little label, here's a little sticker saying that you're a moron. And it's great. I love it.
Yeah. No, but the complaint still holds for the endgame maps, right? Where the endgame map actually allows you to use these super powerful crafting benches without you killing any of the monsters. And if you decide to kill the monsters, which are extremely challenging, right, you don't get anything for it. So
the monsters are easier in the endgame map than they are in the rare maps that you like run around in. Or at least they were before like the initial patch.
Well,
Like,
it depends on what mods you roll on the thing. Like the mods that you can
Sure.
roll on the end game encounters are insane. Like, I got one here that I'm saving for when I actually am transitioning to poison, because it has 80% max life as extra energy shield. Monsters attacks inflict bleeding, like 100% chance to bleed for on every hit from the monsters. And also monsters have 100% chance to suppress spell damage, so essentially 50% less spell damage taken. Good, that doesn't apply to my build, but a lot of builds would just have their damage cut in half because of this mod.
And it has mods. They have mods like cannot suppress, cannot block.
Oh yeah, I had that on
just
my first
straight up like players cannot suppress, and you're like, oh okay, so yikes. Or players cannot block, and you're like, okay, but that's my whole defenses and also all my recovery because I was a life cannot block build. So now I have nothing.
Damn.
aren't you supposed to sell them? Isn't that the point? Isn't that what they said? Like, if you get a modifier you can't run, sell it?
Yes, but
Okay.
most of the maps are something that it looks like a lot of people would not be able to run had they have to clear the whole map. Like, if you actually had to do it, a lot of people would not be able to do any of them. You don't. You can just run through. So
Let's face it, you run through, you do your thing at the end, you throw down a portal and you're like, now the map begins, and then you run back and see how far you can go before you get horrifically murdered, right? Or is that just me?
I think it's just you.
Oh,
I haven't
come on,
even
mate.
done
It's so
that
much
one
fun.
yet.
Oh, okay. What? You gotta try it. It's fun. Is it like there's a grace period at the very end of the map where the monsters don't chase you for some reason because they fully expect you to sit there and watch the 10-second animation each time. But you can just hit escape to cancel the animation and get your loot immediately. But the monsters won't come up the stairs. It's like the opposite of Hog'em. Like, there's a safe spot. So you just run all the way to the end and you'll get to a safe space. And like, it's like a bonfire. You throw down your portal. And then from that point on, you can start playing the game. And like, go like peek out of the stairs, get slapped by a giant spider, and then run back to the stairs.
Oh, I also noticed something else that really upset me when I noticed it. The complete sidetrack has nothing to do with what we just talked about, but you know how the item sells for additional on the nodes? Yeah, it specifically says for additional. So I had I had the 6-socket item that sold for additional 20 scours, and once I had that unlocked, I threw it in the vendor, and it didn't give me 7 jewelers. It just replaced the 7 jewelers with the additional scour. And I'm like, dude, bitch, where are my jewelers? It got me so upset. And I know it's nothing, the 7 jewelers. Like, I don't care about the 7 jewelers. I care about the principle that it literally says additional, but it's not additional.
I thought you were going to complain about a spelling mistake for a second then. Like classic GG, like PoE player. Oh, there's a pixel here that shouldn't be here. I'm upset.
Oh, let me get started about like stuff like that, where like the vibrating item names or stuff that's still in the game
Are
after
you
so long.
are you in game right now? Are we all like have the client running? Yeah, yeah, you're in
Yeah.
game. Do you? Okay, go to the
You got something you want to
challenges.
share me?
Yeah, go to the challenges and
Okay.
check out Abhorrent Abysses, the challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me when.
Abysses.
Yeah, tell me when you're there.
Yeah, I'm there right now.
Okay, what's the last one say?
Dear Fiat. Wow, that's awful. Oh, that
I don't
could have
know how
been
to-
Discord with
I
a
don't know how to
regular
do
spell
that.
checker.
I don't know how
Like,
to.
I mean,
do
sometimes
it,
you have like
but I'll try.
spelling mistakes that make sense, whereas they're like a correct word, right? And it's hard to catch. But this one would have just been red underlined if you pasted it into a Google Doc, because that's not a word. Deaf eat. Well, I guess it could be two words: is eat and deaf, right?
Oh.
Can't hear and eat food. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. You ruined the
You're
league.
welcome.
Literally unplayable.
They'll be there forever. Just uninstall the game. Just go ahead. No point playing anymore.
Oh, I wouldn't have even noticed the spelling mistake. I don't know how to spell defeat to begin with.
I don't even check challenges.
That's true. I also haven't opened the challenge window. But
yeah, TLDR about the delayed rewards. I think delayed rewards are fine. It's great that you have something to work towards, especially seeing that this league, just like the last one, is going to be 4 months long. And I have no idea how I'm supposed to play that amount of time. We already said in the beginning, you guys all said, oh, wait, I'm done after 1 month or 2 months and going into diversity. But yeah, I'd really like to play the long run. It's just there's very little to do outside of like maxing out your weapons, and there's no other things, right? Like there's no new endgame boss. There's the forges, but there's no benefit to being able to kill the forges. So you just run past everything, and well, I mean, there's some loot modifiers on the forges that they can roll. So I don't know whether there's some good ones. Like the one that I ran so far had like a 10% chance for drop weapons and shields to be fractured. So in theory, you could have gotten something good there if you killed everything. But in practice, they like drop almost no loot anyway. So I got like 1 fractured item, I think, out of it. That was decent.
Yep, that's just like killing a rare monster of Arch Nemesis. Just throws out 1 billion fractured. We've been desensitized to fractured items.
Have you gotten any good trees on items that you want to share? Like anything where you were like, oh, I'd like to show that off because I'm really happy with it? Or even if it's just mediocre and it works well for your build?
I mean, I know some stuff that you like. There's steel kite shields are good to get trees on. I've just been doing them, not even looking at them, and then just throwing them in a buy out 1 divine tab, and I've sold like 12. I don't know why. I can have them as far as I'm concerned, but there you go. That's my money. That's my only working moneymaker this league, and I've ruined it for myself by telling other people. Great. Can't do
sorry,
that.
I've been doing the same thing with spine bows.
Hell yeah.
I just ID them all and throw them into a dump tab, and some of them get bought by people, and I have no idea what's on them when they get bought, but it's yours. Give me some chaos.
Aren't we supposed to know how to play the game? Isn't that our like job? Like, I don't know what this is worth, but I guess I'll sell it.
I mean, it added so much time to check all of them, and then when I did check them all, one sold and I never, like several of them in a row sold and I had no idea why. I was looking at the trees and I was like, those are shit. I'd have thrown them back on the ground. I just gave up.
I don't want to know. Like, one guy did tell me the reason why he bought it, and I felt worse for having sold it because I'm like, I could have made that build, and it apparently could have been good. And damn it, I've sold this really amazing build-defining item, and I didn't even know I had it. I'd much rather just not know.
I feel worse knowing why.
Yeah, exactly. At least you're checking them to be like if it says sells for 3 divines and you're selling it for 1 divine because you didn't read the tree, you're checking for that, right? Yeah.
So the way my dump tab strategy works is my first tab is too expensive and no one should ever buy from it. So if someone wants to buy in that tab, I check it, which almost never happens. And then they just step down real slowly. And if you want to buy it at whatever tab, then sure, go nuts.
Forgot about that. Yeah, dude, I should do that. Might make some money.
You got any good item, Wolfio, that you like want to highlight, showcase?
Nope. I only got like cells for 1 divine, and another one was like 20 chromatics, and that's all. I haven't made any sales with that. 1 divine, and that's it.
Dude, look at you swimming in money. Best thing I've seen is like 30 sextants. I'm like, wow.
And 20 scours a few times, but I never channel them past the first node.
Well, so I got an item on like Tuesday that really got me excited. I mean, not because the item itself is awesome, but just because it made me see the potential of the league for the first time, because everything I had until then was like mediocre at best. But I found this shield. It's a fossilized spirit shield. The explicit mods aren't too great. It's a total of like 100% minion damage, got a little block, and resist minion all res. And it had a free prefix so I could craft the 70 max life on it. And from the Crucible tree, I actually get only positives on this one. It actually adds another 45 life, 5% spell block, socketed gems are supported by level 25 arrogance, and regenerate 3% of life per second while on low life. And this had me really like, wait, there's actually some potential in this league. You could actually have a good item with a good tree, and it could become really good, right? And that was my first spark of excitement after a couple of days of playing, where I was like, maybe one day I'll have something similar to this that I'm actually going to use in my build. And then Grimro's new video came out. I mean, Grimro makes a lot of videos, so I'm sure there's more in between. But Wei was talking about the potential of the Crucible nodes on bows, and like showing a little bit the weightings, what he's going for, and that you can get like rampage, for example, on a bow, like unconditional rampage. There's just rampage globally on your character, which, you know, unless you get it on a really good bow with other good passives, you're probably going to just weapon swap into it anyway. But yeah, definitely seems good. But it's just so unlikely to get good combinations.
But see, these kind of modifiers don't really excite me. Like I see that, and it's like nothing new. It's just a bit better item, like a bit more marks from life, a bit more block. You can get that normally. You don't need like a passive tree to get that. Now,
well, I mean,
if
it still increases the amount of like total mods that you can have by a significant amount.
Well,
right?
yeah, it does help. Yeah.
There's
It's
two
easier
items
to
I
get
know
good
of.
items.
There's 2 items I know of that are amazing and crazy and build defining, and I'll tell you in your DMs because secrets, if you're interested.
Well, I
If
mean,
you
if
find
I'm not
any, you tell
able
me.
to, if I'm not allowed to share it on the podcast, then I'll check it after the podcast. Otherwise, I'm at risk of leaking your secret information.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a secrets trader. This is why no one talks to me anymore, because I just sell their secrets.
The shield that I'm using right now has 100% chance to avoid being poisoned, with the downside of 50% increased bleed duration, which is fine, because when you have a bleed on you that you can't remove, you're going to die on it like in 100% of the duration anyway. Like, you're never going to see the end of the bleed anyway. So 50% increased bleed duration doesn't matter, but like 100% chance to avoid being poisoned is kind of nice.
I don't know if I've ever made it to the end of a bleed duration. Dude, like, I either get rid of it or I die. This is how that works.
Yeah.
Oh, if you get flat 40 energy shield on a steel kite on the first node, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, dude, I've seen that one. I want to highlight, dude. There's one that is on the wiki, not on the wiki, on the Reddit. Someone posted a super sick Emperor's Vigilant shield that I'm going to bring up on the screen right now. As in, like, wait, and I'm done clicking all these things here. Look at this. That's a beauty. Emperor's Vigilant Steel Kite Shield with an additional 40 max ES at the cost of 25% reduced mana regeneration rate, and 60% increased defenses at the cost of 5% chance, block chance, and then +1 endurance, +1 power, -1 max frenzy, +1 minimum endurance and power.
Looks like we're playing solitaire with your mouse. You know how it does the
But yeah, I
card
have no
thing and
idea
it-
what that is. I'll just stop moving it.
That's fine.
Wait.
Oh, he
I
even
think
got
it's the
the
bug.
energy shield stuff. Holy shit!
Yeah, this
I've
is
got-
like
That's
very
nice.
close to the best possible that you could get. I guess the 15% increased explicit defensive modifier magnitudes could still be higher because it says tier 2 on it. So I assume there's a tier above it.
I have
And
the
it has
first
the-
one and the last one on 2 separate steel kite shields, and I'm scared to recombo them because I tried to recombo something and it deleted both of the 2 mods that I wanted. So if I do that and lose it, I'm just gonna cry.
But yeah, like stuff like this really gives me hope for the league in the long run because it's something. It's a big carrot on a stick that is sort of worth chasing, especially because you can keep them as a trophy. Like these are gonna, unlike the relics that we were hunting last week in Sanctum, this is actually going to persist after the migration to standard, so you'll still be able to keep these. And we don't know whether this ever goes core or it comes back. So yeah, probably worth it to get some memorabilia during the time of the league. There's also another one I want to highlight. Maybe you guys want to say something while I bring it up.
Oh yeah, I apparently the winged scarab sextant or whatever. You know how it was like a big thing where people were just getting it infinitely last league, but they patched it so it's like a 50% chance to not be consumed now. Apparently, someone's figured out a way around it again, and they're back up to like 50 divines for the sextant or something. Someone's figured out a way to print infinite ones. I mean, it's not public information yet, but there's a small group of people printing infinite winged scarabs. So, yep.
It'll be something to do with imprinting again.
People love that kind of shit. People love the story of the GCP guy that knew like how to make all the GCP money. People love it when it's 7 years ago and we could talk about it. But when it's happening right now and it's not you, God, it feels like shit.
All right, here we got another super OP unique right now coming up on the screen, and it's a Whispering Ice with 6% increased attributes, 20% increased global damage, 1.5 base crit at the cost of reduced attack speed, and then 10% increased strength and
Wow.
increased excellent for a total of 26% increased intelligence on
What
the
the
Crucible
hell?
class.
Yeah.
That's
So-
insane.
Screw rare items. Just do the bases and chance them.
I'm a little bit puzzled why that person hasn't divined it to perfect increased intelligence on the explicits yet.
Ran out of
Divines are
divines.
expensive. Yeah, what the hell?
What is that? 40% increased intelligence combined.
Well, on the 20,
Wait, so-
26 on the Crucible passes,
miscalculated.
plus up to 18. So I'd say 44% increased intelligence in total on the
Gee.
item. But like,
That's
yeah,
a lot of int.
26
Jesus.
more than a normal perfect one. And they also made it pretty because it has Shaper and Redeemer influence at the same time. So, yeah. This is definitely one of those items that you're gonna, worship for years to come in your standard stash.
So we chanced it, I guess.
Yeah, they needed to have chanced it, otherwise it wouldn't be influenced. Oh, it could have come from a. Can't it come from a divination card? Isn't there like one that gives you double influenced uniques?
Yeah,
Sure
but then
there
you
is.
have to go fucking buy 300 Whispering Ices, run 300 Crucibles to add trees to all of them, and then start combining off that. So that was definitely chanced.
Or he always
Oh,
uses
you
that
think
one.
that you think the tree already existed on the item before it became a Whispering Eyes?
You build the tree on a rare, and then you sit there for an hour chancing it.
Can you even roll these? Not because the notes that you can roll on a unique are different from the ones that you can roll on a rare. Can you even roll these increased attributes on a regular item?
Stuff?
Yes,
Yeah,
because they
I
can
don't think
roll on
I've seen
attack
these.
things as well, and nothing on that staff is related to spells. That is an attack staff tree on a spell staff unique.
Makes sense.
That's why it's got attack speed. That's why it's got an attack speed and a crit roll. And if you look at the crit chance of the Whispering Ice, that's not spell crit, that's attack crit.
So
It's
it's
an
not
attack-
perfect. Two
attack
dead
staff.
mods. Item is bad.
It
Bender.
can't have been mythic orb because that only works on corrupted. So
Yeah, that was chanced.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, but with this, I really think that people are, and of course, there's a lot of legitimate criticisms of the league, and the baseline rewards are not good enough to keep engaging with the encounters. There's pretty much only the long game that we're playing. But posts like this make me have a little bit hope for the longevity of the league, because there's really some incredible stuff at the top end that you can be going for. I just wonder, like, how unlikely is it to get something like that? I mean, like, even if you're like putting all your resources into trying to get something like that, out of like 100 people doing that, funneling all their money into chasing something like that, how many people are successfully going to get an item of that power level by the end of the league?
That guy, just him. That's it. No more. Pack it up. We're done.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Not much to talk about in this league, huh? There's not much in it.
Yeah, we can talk about more items that are posted on
How
the Reddit.
would you overall rate the league, like from 0 to 10?
That's a difficult question. Can the other people go first?
In the current state, not what you think it could be.
Yeah, I'd have to divide that. I'd have to be like, yeah, I think at heart the league is like, with perfect execution, it would be like probably a
7.
high 8. But
3 actually.
What?
in the current state,
Yeah, I said 4, but
Not
I think I'm
compared to other
downgrading it to
leagues.
3.
No.
I would give 5 as well.
you're not going decimals. I feel like decimals for finer granularity.
That's cheating. You got
6.9.
10 options
Okay.
in the bar.
Okay, no, that's fair. That if that's the rules, then I'll probably give it a solid. Can't decide between a 4 and a 5.
Not very solid then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's solid as in it's solidified, right? It's not moving.
No, you gotta pick one. There's only 10 options.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
You'll
I'd have to say
start
4,
with
honestly. It'd
a
be a
6
5
out of
if
10.
there was like.
You
It'd be
start with a
5 if
6
it
out
was
of 10.
better. Yeah.
Oh, my joke's not worth it anymore. I'm over it.
It'd be a 5 if you couldn't bypass the endgame encounters so hard. It just feels like
I
don't
agree,
like the
Catmaster.
cheesy.
It would get a higher number if it was better.
well, at least we have something that we agree on. That's great.
That sounds like comments on my YouTube. Well, your build is bad because you made it bad. Like, okay,
Yeah,
you just
your build was
had to
better
make
if it would be
make
better.
Better, then it would be better. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like the league is probably gonna die if the next patch doesn't like make it more exciting. Like I don't think that people are gonna wait, and it's not gonna be one of those cases. It gets better after 100 hours. Like no, people just gonna quit.
Would you like it more if it had a big boss that you could fight that dropped a
No.
whole bunch of shit with trees?
No.
I think like
No?
dropping shit with pre-revealed trees would definitely be a big motivational boost. It just feels so unrewarding that it's similar to the thing how the uniques work, right? Like, why can I not just progress my unique? Because I can't progress my unique trees anyway in the regular crucibles and maps. It's just that I can't unlock the tree unless I go into the endgame thing. But once it's unlocked, I just take it into the same regular encounters as everything else to progress it. So it feels a little bit like artificial gating. I don't know. And in the same way is like, yeah, I find items, but then in order to see their potential, I first need to take them into an encounter in the first place. It would be very good, especially seeing how difficult the monsters are, if there was some sort of way, maybe at least in the endgame encounters, to get pre-revealed items. Maybe like with a small chance only, the same way that I had like 10% chance to get fractured items.
There is though. That's what? That is a modifier on the geodes that rares and uniques can drop shit with trees on them.
Okay, fair enough. I just haven't seen one yet then.
That's why I'm like, just take that, but then slap it on that big M&M looking boss guy, and then do a big boss fight, and people would love it because now there's something even beyond the like once you get to the depths of it's just this, and I have to do it 100 times. But what if there was just a little step beyond that? It's just like, oh, now it's this, but big stone guy that I have to fight. I don't know.
I have one positive about the league and encounters. I noticed. I'm not sure if it's only bosses or some rare monsters as well. They have some really cool looking skills. So it feels like a new kind of monsters, but I can see it's being reused from like previous leagues or some kind of previous boss. But we do have some cool looking skills that I haven't seen before. There was some kind of weird, like I don't know how to describe it, like a storm call, but thicker and I don't know, different color. Um, there was another some kind of twister, or I don't know what it was, but I have seen some interesting skills that I would actually want to play with those skills, like just take those skills and add it to players. That would be nice.
Have you
Too
fought the
bad you
Rogue
cannot spectre
Exile?
them.
Have you fought the Rogue Exile whose alpha channel has been disabled somehow, and he hits you with a giant white flashbang that's supposed to be transparent?
No.
Oh, he's like he does like a blood attack, and like the outline of the blood, like I don't know, they just turned off a transparency layer or something, and he just throws a blood wave at you, surrounded by just a giant white square,
Huh.
and just hits like if you're in the middle of like toxic sewers and everything's dark and your lights off in your room, and he just throws a fucking flashbang in your face. It's terrifying. He's pretty strong as well. I mean, I'm weak as shit, but like maybe it's a Vulcan thing. I don't know.
I know there was a bug where Rage Vortex was sometimes invisible. Like you throw a Rage Vortex and it kind of goes on the ground and you don't see where it is. Now we fixed it.
I'll see if I can find a picture of this flashbang guy.
Right. Well, while you're looking for that, I'm just quickly gonna highlight, I guess, that in combination with the Val skills that we've been given this league and the Crucible skill-specific nodes, the build-making potential of this league is actually kind of insane, and there's a lot of fun things that we could be trying out. But with the mechanic not being right, it doesn't feel like there's any reason for me to try and make a good build, because would I be doing with the build? Like, there's no aspiration. There's no, like, do I make a build for the sake of making a build? I want to take the build into content that I haven't been able to do last league and just do it this league, but there's just nothing.
One thing I am excited to do a little bit later is I'm going to pick out probably 4 or 5 of the weirder things that is listed as Crucible mods for skills and just try and force them into a build to see how they actually work. Stuff like Galvanic Arrow fires twice when from a mine. Or just, I don't know, like the weirdest ones I can find. Later on when I have money to burn, and it doesn't matter, I'm just going to find the weird ones and just start making builds with whatever the skill says it should be and just see how they go. Because I think that would be fun.
I was so sad that Conversion Trap has no special thing. I thought that surely we're gonna add something unique, like to make it more interesting, but no.
That was actually clarified on Twitter before the
conversion
league.
Trap could convert up to 12 mobs or something, and then maybe I can cluster it and then become a necromancer and just see
that's what it looks
something.
Sorry. I figured out I could do that. Hey, look, that's the flashbang, except in toxic sewers.
Oh, you could also just share the screen, and I could give you the spotlight.
This is more fun.
This is far more slippery gym.
Look at that. Imagine except it's smaller, and it's just like a giant white fucking arc at you. It's terrifying.
Right. No, what Wolfio just said about Conversion Trap, that was actually clarified before the league started, because Crouching Tuna asked under the one of the first real Crucible passive trees on Twitter whether there's one for every skill, and Bex specifically said that give me share screen here. Beck specifically said there's one for pretty much every skill you'd reasonably use as your main skill. So, for example, there aren't any for things like Conversion Trap.
I used it.
So, yeah, probably
There's
missed that
our
one.
quality conversion trap, which with quality stacking you can boost to, I believe, over 2000% increased damage for converted enemies. So it would be interesting if there was something for that, like you could convert multiple enemies, or like we are not still your minions, so you cannot scale them in any way, pretty much just with auras, and we sometimes just decide to run away because why not? So it's kind of sad that we don't have those kind of weird interactions for skills that no one uses except some.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's look at something else before we repeat ourselves at the for the Crucible itself. There's been another addition this league that was a little bit controversial, and that is the free track for the Kirax Vault Pass that gives you currency, but it forced you to look at the paid thing and go to a thing, and it also gives you like a little notification. What do you guys think about that?
Why is that controversial?
To put it up in a nutshell, because it's mixing game elements with what people perceive to be an advertisement for paying money for the game.
So wait,
we unfortunately
people are getting free stuff. We're getting free stuff, and we don't like. Why?
I can tell you what I didn't like it.
Icon on your skill, icon on your window or whatever, the glowy icon. Is that why?
I can tell you why I didn't like it. I didn't like it because, and I buy the Kirac Vault Pass every single league. I didn't like it because it pops up a little button, and the button doesn't go away, and that was really frustrating.
Oh, right, they patched that later.
Yeah, they fixed it now, but I never buy the Kirac Vault Pass until I'm done with my Atlas because I don't want exactly that to happen, and it was really, really annoying.
Okay.
That's been patched now, so.
Is it? Mine's still there and it won't go away. Do I have to update?
I had
it.
I'm not going to do that. I like it. I've grown attached.
I had an old friend who goes by the name of Project PT in my chat a couple of days ago, and I showed him this, and he said, "I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed."
Did you show him like the microtransaction like window where it used to be like 6 different slots for stuff? You open it up now and it looks like a goddamn Tetris screen, like all the cubes and shit on it. I'm like, I don't know what half this stuff does. There's so much.
I mean, I have to say the positive aspect of this all, which is now you can actually pay for the pass with points, where previously you were forced to spend another $30, even if you had thousands of points on your account already from previous purchases, you wouldn't be able to spend them on Kirac's Vault. But in return, I also don't think that the MTX live up to the standard of
I was
the
gonna
previous
ask
Kirac's
about
Vault
that.
Pass.
Have you seen the last one on someone?
The life globes, and I think it looks a little bit cheap, honestly. It looked better when I saw it on your stream, but in the video that they presented it, I didn't really like it all that much, seeing that it's like the top tier reward. But still, like, it's weird that they decide to do this super pushy approach to Kirac's Vault, where everyone gets it shoved into the face multiple times per league because of the free track. And then they implement the weakest set of rewards that is the least compelling, or the weakest set of cosmetics, I should say, because rewards is the free stuff, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a little bit puzzled by it.
When they said they were going to give free stuff for a free pass for the Kirac Vault Pass, I was like excited about it. I thought it was a good thing. I thought there was going to be 3 or 4 free MTXs for completing this. I didn't think they were going to give us like sextants and breach stones and shit like that. Like I actually think that's a little bit stupid. I feel like, I don't know, like it's not a large enough amount of anything to matter. But when playing PoE, it feels really weird to do nothing and have in-game currency given to me. Even though it's really small, it just feels weird.
Hmm. I don't know. I just don't like the weaving in of game elements with the paid elements. I think they did a really good job in the past of keeping that separate as much as they can. And, you know, I always thought that some of the benefits of using MTX on some skills, because I think you guys would all agree that some MTX make the player experience better, almost to the point where it could feel like a little bit pay to win. Like my prime example for that is Withering Step, where the base doesn't tell you the range, right? Withering Step, just you see the effects on the enemies as they enter your AoE. But if you use the Withering Step that is demonic with the red, it literally has a range indicator on it. I'm going to show it, but so yeah, that makes me think, like, is that to some degree maybe even on purpose, intentional? Because I until this time I didn't want to believe that it's intentional. I didn't want to. I was like, yeah, that's just a you know, sort of side effect of them trying to make the best possible MTX that they can make. I guess it does have a little bit of an indicator. No, that's my Plague Bearer. Wait a second. I'm going to take the Plague Bearer off just to be sure.
These are my boxes.
Oh, no, it is. Okay, maybe I'm talking out of my ass. The Withering Step
Are you
does
not
have a
tempted
range
to open
indicator.
them? You're saving them?
You want to show it? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm saving them. One of every box. Like CS:GO, they'll be worth hundreds one day.
But yeah, this is the base effect of Withering Step. You can't really see the range. I mean, there's a small little range indicator, and then when you use the demonic Withering Step,
See, so many buttons you can click. So many windows.
I mean, I don't mind that because this is like strictly separate from the gameplay
Yeah,
elements.
but still.
Here, the range indicators on this Withering Step are way clearer. I mean, they're not like one consistent circle, but I don't know. It's just brighter and easier to see. High contrast.
Yeah,
and
definitely. Imagine if the ground effects would be like that, and all the after death mechanics would be like that. You just see them. Imagine just seeing them. That would be interesting.
The Kirak reward item thing just feels icky because that's what most like EA devs would do as a first step before they do the pay to win step of, well, you've got him for free, so also let's just put him on the paid one. And if anyone complains, they go, well, you can get free stuff as well. But if they do that, their entire community will come after them and they'll probably kill their game. Like those, what are they called? Like scrap boxes or something? Whereas like if you
salvage
put
boxes,
in multiple dupes, you might get something that's not a dupe. So like, ugh. It just feels icky because it's like, this seems like a red flag. But as long as they don't take the next step, they're fine.
I don't like slippery slope arguments.
Slope. Yeah.
I don't like them.
I don't like slippery slope arguments? What do you mean?
It is a slippery slope, though. Like, is there really a line that we know that GGG won't cross in that case? Because I thought there was...
Slippery slope arguments are weak. Because they're saying the basis of a slippery slope argument is, this is okay, but I'm going to be really upset about it because the next step might not be okay.
No, I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying if people are having icky feelings, it's probably because in the past, this is what people who have done that have done, like to try and ease their community into it. I know GGG would never do that because it's game suicide for them as the way that they've built up their MTXs and stuff. But if anyone's having icky feelings, that's probably why. And if they've got icky feelings for other reasons, they're being a moron. Imagine buying things to make your game run worse. Why would you do that?
Well, there are some MTXs that make the FPS go down. So it's literally pay to lose.
Depends if you have a good enough computer. Extra Gore is your favorite. Balor Extra Gore enjoyer.
The ones that usually tank my performance.
Look cool, apparently. I don't know.
I think a slippery slope, people just setting the line like drawing the line for GG to know where it is, because like if people never voice their opinions, like we can keep slowly pushing the line, and until someone says, okay, now it's too late, now you messed up. I don't know.
Well,
I personally
in the
don't really
past,
care.
I thought that there would never be a battle pass sort of thing in Path of Exile because it's a way of monetization that I thought that was against how they want to run their game. And then when it was implemented, I thought, well, yeah, but it's purely cosmetic and it will never be mixed with actually in-game mechanics. Yeah, sure, there's this Kirex Vault Pass button on the Atlas that kind of draws your attention to it, but they gotta advertise it somehow, and it's not that bad. You click it once, then
Yeah.
you know it's there, and then it's not that bad. So and now the slippery slope argument has a merit because the slippery slope has been leading to more and more mixing up of those things in the past. And the question is just, how far will this go? We're coming
Isn't
with
the Battle
PoE2.
Pass-
Will there be daily login rewards?
Oh god.
Isn't the battle pass purely because they're like prepping in case some countries ban loot boxes and stuff like that? Isn't that the whole reason it's there? They're just like trying it out, so they've got we've tried it and now we know how it works. So if loot boxes go out the window in Australia, which is looking like it might happen, and if loot boxes go out the window in England, I think would be the next one or something like that, we've got the battle pass that we can just slide in for the exact same result. And it's not a loot box because you earn the rewards. You just unlock the ability to open it's not a box, it's a race, and you get the same rewards if you play the game a lot, and that's who buys loot boxes. It's just a like loophole shit, right? Isn't it? I don't know. I thought they said that's why. They said they have other options if a country bans loot boxes. They're looking into other options, and then the league after we got the Kirak thing. I'm like, oh, what a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to ride too much on the MTX topic. I was just curious about your opinions. We had an in-depth discussion about the KRX Vault Pass on the last podcast already. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a chance to voice your opinions on that. I quickly wanted to ask Wolfio to spoil a little bit of the information about his Tainted Pact video and Tainted Pact in general, if you're willing to give away some of the things that you found out that you researched for that video.
I thought that everyone knew that, it just people did not really try it out. Tainted Pact. Basically, with Tainted Pact unique amulet combined with the Righteous Fire, your Righteous Fire now heals you. Yeah.
Wait, it says chaos damage over time heals you while
Well, but
leeching
Divine
life.
Flesh, 50% of elemental damage is taken as chaos, which also converts the damage over time. So,
Ooh, right. But you need to be leeching. You need to
yes,
fulfill
you
the
need to
leech
be leeching.
condition.
That's the biggest problem. And so many people say, oh, just use the flask, the Katarina's modifier. Well, you still need to figure out how to get the leech. And the leech, as I recently learned, only has 5-second duration if you are reaching the leech cap per single hit, essentially. With small hits, you're not really going to be reaching the leech cap, and your leech is not going to last for 5 seconds. So your leech may last for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds or even 1 second. So that's the biggest problem. Like if you use fully automated cast and damage taken loop, then it's not a problem. You just automate everything. You make sure that your flask regenerates fast enough so it can reactivate again, and you just have it permanently. You can go AFK. It's going to be fine. You're going to never die pretty much. But that's pretty much the only solution that I found. All the other ones require you to either hit the enemy, hit yourself, or spend mana automatically somehow, which essentially means automation, like cast and damage taken, or manually like use vortex on left click and just never stop running. So you always have the vortex triggering Skull's Battle, doing damage to you, triggering the leech from the from the Katrina's mod flask. How do you say that? So essentially,
Katarina's
you never
flask
lose
mod,
leech.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So maintaining the leech is the biggest problem. But this amulet, I think, is going to be so broken once people figure out. And for bossing, it's fine. Like, well, actually, some bosses do have long phases. So during those phases, you would have to turn off, or you can do like self poison and make sure that your poison expires before leech expires. So you pretty much never kill yourself, because if your leech expires and you are still poisoned, you're dead, instantly dead. Same goes for Righteous Fire. Same goes for those boots that do 10,000 fire damage per second. As long as you're leeching, you're pretty much never gonna run out of life.
So
yeah.
the problem is really making the leech like a long-lasting thing. Is
Yeah.
there a way to lower your leech cap so it's easier to reach the maximum duration of leech instances?
Worm's belt only helps with smaller hits. Like if your hit does not reach the leech cap, then Worm's mold is gonna help. If your hit reaches the leech cap, then Worms does nothing. Worm's mold belt. So other than that, I'm not entirely sure. Leech is so complicated and so annoying to kind of explain because it has like 5 different phrasings and the maximum leech per second and then the maximum leech and then those kind of sound very confusing. But Slayer is supposed to increase the maximum leech duration by twice, so up to 10 seconds. But I think you need to hit even harder to be able to reach that. I am currently playing Slayer and trying and just started, just set up this kind of setup, and it's not really working. It's lacking. I guess I'm not doing enough damage with Slayer right now. I'm still in Blood Aqueducts, but the leech like expires in like 2 seconds and just die instantly. So I'm still trying to figure it out.
If it helps, Slayer Scion does not increase the maximum leech rate. It just keeps the overleech, which in the past has made it worse, but for this might make it better.
Yeah. Well, essentially, I picked up Slayer just to increase the maximum leech duration so that I can run for like almost 10 seconds and not die. Because what do you do when you want to charge Crucible? Your leech drops off and you die. Because charging Crucible takes forever. So, yeah. Default automation, I guess, is probably the best option. You can automate like with the skeletons or SRS with the cast and damage taken, and you don't need to proc it like 4 times a second. You can just proc it like once a second if you properly set it up. But there's another problem. If you summon skeletons or SRS and you walk too far away, they despawn without triggering the rings, and you don't take the damage, and it kind of breaks the loop. So I haven't figured it out how to properly set up, but this is probably gonna be like insane item.
Maybe the way to go is just with a Slayer attack build, like some ground slam poison, self-poison thing. There is some poison for ground slam synergy on the Crucible tree, right? There's like something like poisons with ground slam deal more damage or something like that.
Yes, 600% increased damage against non-poison enemies, but still.
Yeah, but still it's really good for clear. You only hit them once and they take a huge poison. And then you could run a flask even that removes your self-poison. So in case you're running the risk of like your leech falling off, you could like instantly remove the poisons before that happens so you don't die. It's definitely a super interesting amulet. Yeah, you were thinking?
I was thinking with this setup, you add Divine Flesh and basically just stand in the Shaper's Beam, because Shaper's Beam, if I remember, is dot. All the elemental and dot damage. So all of those elements get converted 50% into heals, and it just heals you instead of doing damage to you. So Shaper Beams would be not a problem.
It would heal you for the same amount of damage that it deals to you. Because
it would heal for more. Because you mitigate the elemental by your elemental resistances, but your heals, you're not going to have like capped heals rest. You're going to have like 0 heals rest, so that it's going to heal you more. But the heals hits would still hurt a lot.
Right. Yeah. It's the super interesting amulet. Like at the very least for just bringing it into Hunter instead of your normal amulet on an attack build, right? Just bring it into Hunter
But
and
amulet is also like a big
big
source of damage. So using this, like it gives no damage, no life, like nothing else. So just using that to counter the degen, I don't know if it's worth it alone.
Yeah, I see. I'm curious whether we're still going to see something interesting. Do you have your eyes on another interesting interaction that you're going to want to check out, or like, you know, without obviously screwing yourself over or
not right
anything?
now. I haven't really. Like I said, I was panicking with builds, not knowing what to do, so I just I had that idea and went with it. Didn't really look too much. I have some ideas, but nothing really in particular. the uniques this league do not seem very interesting. Some of them just seem completely pointless, like that reflect. I think it was a helm, no, a reflect belt. Like, what's the point of that one? I don't even see what kind of build would want to use that. So yeah, I
What's the
don't
name
know.
of the belt? I can bring it up on the screen. I can't
I
find it right
don't
now.
remember. I did not even try to remember its name.
Is it the one that regens you per ailment you have, or is that a different one?
Yeah, that one. Like 2% life regen per ailment on you, and then some reflect. And it's kind of low-ish level, so you can use through the campaign. I mean, you could, I guess, chuck it in during the campaign. The enemy hit you, and then we hit themselves back. I don't know.
Chain of Endurance.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
You were just a tiny moment faster than I was.
I mean, the last league I tried a true reflect build. Maybe we saw that and thought, oh, we're gonna add this build to help Wolf your play reflect build and do 1,000 damage. Yeah, there's nothing on this build that seems interesting. Even that region, like, okay, you get like not eight, like 4 ailments on you, 8% life region, and that's it. Like,
I mean, you could still
I
get
don't know.
alt ailments, right? And then there's also, like, I mean, there's
Yeah, but how? Like, you're not really gonna build around it.
yeah, true.
Just to get
You can't
region.
really force the enemies to put those on you. I guess if you run run simulacrum, it's a simulacrum build. Yeah,
But
it
this
sounds underwhelming.
requires level 14. At level 14, I guess it's pretty good, decent life, and pretty high reflex. So those who cannot avoid raw charges would be happy with this, because raws would hit you and they would just die, I guess.
I suppose. Yeah, Balor or Slippery Jim, you get your eyes on any like funky interaction or item that you want to build around that you can say without like screwing the market over, maybe.
Mine are all Crucible trees. I really need to like figure out how to understand how to make them, because I have interesting ideas, but no idea how to make the things that I need.
Yeah, for me it's like the other way around approach. Like I'm like just gonna make a lot of items and like try to use all my content, and if I happen to get something interesting, then I'm gonna build around it. That's basically my plan.
I'm a
It's like
couple
if I-
leagues late, but I want one of those Calandra rings. I don't know. They're expensive, but I just want one. You know, I've never had one. I don't know what I'd make with it. I'm also very late. I'll probably make like a power charge stacking build, but those synthesis power charge rings are probably like 100 divines by now. So it's a very long goal. If anything's going to make me play for 4 months, it's having a goal to make a 200 divine build. And by the time I get to the point of having the 200 divines, the build's going to cost 800. So, yeah.
That's flashback to when I started Mage Skeletons and Sentinel. When the items were like basically every time I thought I caught up in the currency that I needed to buy the jewel and the chest piece, it had doubled in price or something like that, or gone up by some significant margin. I was just always hanging behind just so much, and I never was able to get
There's
it.
one item I want to buy, and each time I get enough money, it's doubled in price, and I'm just like, what the fuck do I do? And it doesn't have any div cards, so I can't just snowball my way to it. It's just
There's one thing I'm super interested in trying that was going to be my next build, and no one's put out a build guide on it yet or anything. It's an item no one was using. I'm not going to say what it is, but I was looking at it and it was 7 divines, and then I went to sleep and I woke up and now it's 27 divines, and I'm like, I have 3. I need you to calm down. Whoever's doing that on this one undisclosed item that I'm not even telling you what it is, stop. I need that to slow down.
there is like a thing I'm trying to do, or a friend is trying to do with Crucible, and it's got like a specific trade search for it, and he's been sniping items that no one else is sniping or anything, and then one came up that was like half completed. He's like, uh-oh. He like snooped his build and it's identical, and he's like, oh shit, someone's onto me. So I'm like, I'm trying to help him with that casually, but like it's just that's why I'm like, yeah, there's tons of stuff I want to do, and you're like, what is it? And I'm like, yep, lots of stuff to do in Crucible. Yes. there's some cool stuff there that'll take ages to do, and I can't tell you because then I won't get to be able to do it because people snipe my items, like that spectral shield throw stuff. I wanted to make that, but now like everyone's doing that, so now I mean I still could, but now all the items are expensive. It must be really nice to have like a build that can do multiple millions of damage, and you're the first one to discover it. Balor. Must be nice. Hey, you should tell me what you're doing. Come on, I'll help you.
To be fair, Poison SRS was a really good build before Balor picked it up in Sanctum.
Oh yeah, no,
Wow.
It must be really nice to be one of the 6 people who played Poison SRS for 3 leagues before I made them, because those people's items were free for like 9 months, and they were doing 50 million DPS every league. They were just free. You could look them up on Ninja. It's the same people. There's like 6 of them. And they were running it for 3 leagues, but just didn't tell anyone.
I like you. Oh, I have a question.
Yeah,
I fully spec'd into Breach early on, like a moron, because it's the shit one and Abyss is better apparently. And I am 1 map away on the Kirak Vault Pass to getting a Breach Stone. I am 57 splinters away, fully spec'd into Breach for a week of non-stop farming to getting a Breach Stone. What the fuck did... Why? Like it's
fully spec'd into Breach and Abyss, and they're both horrible.
What? Abyss is great by comparison to a Breach. Abyss is amazing. And I'm not even fully spec'd into it. Imagine what it would be like if I spec'd into it. Holy shit.
The buffed items are insane from those. Yeah. I mean, have you guys actually seen Captain Lance's Abyssal EK build that he posted a couple of days ago? That looks insane. Like he has the chest piece and the boots and the helmet, and it's like so much penetration and physical is extra. It looks ridiculous. Like it's really a strong build. I'm going to share it once again on screen here.
In general, reward Abyss items look more powerful than the. Why is it so laggy?
Yeah, the screen share is a little bit laggy. I'll have to look into.
Yeah, but look at this HP. Is it dying? Like almost dying, or what's happening there?
He can't technically die, I don't think, because it's like reserving life or something like that, and it's going down, and it can't ever technically kill you. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm saying, but I heard some guildies talking about it recently, and I'm just repeating words like that parrot MTX.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil the full video. It's a 9-minute video. You're gonna go and give Captain Lance some ad revenue by watching the entire video. I don't want to like piggyback off his content entirely, but I just I myself didn't watch the entire thing and just looked at the flashy gameplay and the quick Minotaur deletion that he's doing. And I'm just saying that there's some. We already established that, but there's some incredible build potential at the top end for this league, which is unfortunate because not everyone is going to get there.
Shame about the bottom end. Shame about making the campaigns harder.
It's one of my biggest gripes, honestly. Like the new league should make if anything, should make the campaign easier and less punishing.
I mean, it is kind of. You just don't fully juice it. Apparently, this is like player retention.
just don't RNG into a node that bricks your item.
Well, I mean, like if you're leveling, it's just like, what are you putting your weapon in there that's all got all your damage links? Come on, that's not very smart of you. Just pick up a random weapon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Every step that you take in this game, GGG is trying to fuck you. So just plan ahead. Well, you did because you're not playing hardcore. I'm proud of you.
That's another topic, I guess, that we could get into before we address maybe some questions from chat. If you guys have any chat questions that you want answered by this panel, this is the time, because we're probably going to round things off relatively soon. But one thing that I have a big gripe with, and there's several reasons why I play hardcore, not play hardcore this league. And first and foremost is because I want to have a focus on fun and I want to interact with my community. I have a community guild with like a bunch of people, and they're very helpful with each other. Like we're sharing currency in the guild stash and all that. So it's really cool. Right? Like everyone tries to put more into the guild stash than they take out in the long run. And it's been working really well in past leagues, and I'm looking forward to doing this in this league as well. So that's great, but also I just currently can't I can't play hardcore anymore with specifically the Arch Nemesis mods that are not color coded anymore, but they're super lethal and they're just like random white lines on the monsters. Most notably, Crystal Skin. I can't count how many times I've died to Crystal Skin, also in recent hardcore runs. But every single time I died to Crystal Skin was without me knowing that the monster had Crystal Skin. It was always after the fact that I died that I found, oh, it was Crystal Skin. And now they allegedly, or like people told me that they improved the visibility on it a little bit. And I see that, right? Like you can see the crystals, but sometimes the map is so dark and there's walls and there's other visual clutter, especially when you play a minion build, that you just don't see it. Like the monsters die so fast anyway. And you can't read the mods on every single monster. So
I'll just kill monsters slower. Then you'll have time to read.
damage. Yeah, exactly. Just build a worse build. No, like I really dread the fact that they removed the color coding on those mods. Like I want to say on something like Executioner, it's great because you have a great 3D effect on the monster. You have like a that range indicator, so it's not the end of the world. Like every time I see an Executioner, I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. But like I said, with Crystal Skin so far, it's always felt like a cheap death. It's always felt like the game is trying to cheat me out of my character because it wouldn't be able to kill me otherwise. It wouldn't be able to kill me in a fair way. So it's killing me in an unfair way. What do you guys think about is there any like gripes that you have about the current state of the game in that sense? Like where you feel like there's no counterplay or something like that? Or like chat is saying, have you noticed more soul eaters, more corrupting blood, more super bad arch nemesis modifiers? Because I actually don't know whether they changed the weighting on those. Like people told me also that during the acts they had more corrupting blood monsters and all that. I'm not sure whether that's confirmation bias, whereas like most of the time you don't notice what you have, but then when it's like something that really frustrates you, then you notice it, and so you think like, oh, that's really common.
I think that's the case. It's like me and running into dead ends when I am leveling a new character. Whenever I see that I run into dead ends, I start noticing that it becomes even more annoying when I see another dead end. So same with this, I think when you are annoyed by the corrupting blood and then the soul eaters, and then you see them, it kind of confirms that, oh, it's more often because I just noticed it again. I don't think that it's more often really, but it does feel like the difficulty of those Crucible monsters feel like we just brought back the old Arch Nemesis, the first version of Arch Nemesis when it was just super tanky and super dangerous. I don't really like that part.
To be fair, though, in the first iteration of Arch Nemesis, during the Arch Nemesis League, if that's what you're referring to, we had full choice. You had full control over the rare that you were creating, which is why Arch Nemesis didn't get the harsh criticism that the Arch Nemesis mods get now that they're implemented in the base game, because it was once in a map or like twice in a map that you had like a super. Of course, there was up to 4 encounters, but you had full control over it. So, and you only got the more difficult ones towards the end. So I'm saying once or twice in a map that you fought a really dangerous thing. But now it's like every rare could potentially have a super dangerous combination of modifiers on them.
I actually don't remember how it was working.
I feel like people are just noticing them because Crucible monsters were overtuned or whatever, or people were mega juicing up their Crucible monsters. Like if you encounter a Soul Eater that isn't a Crucible monster, you tend to kill it relatively okay, unless you're playing like SRS or something. But if it's a Crucible monster and he's got a whole bunch of damage reduction and he's in a just circle full of monsters that you have to sit and kill, and he happens to have an ability to summon his own skeleton army because he's a prick, and they're really weak and you kill him and then he turbos out of existence, flickers off the screen, and then one comes back and one-shots you. That's very specific and don't worry about it. But I think it's just because it's Crucible and it's they're hard to kill and you just notice them because they live longer and they have more chance to get stronger. Right? Wouldn't that be? Especially in like campaign Crucible, Soul Eaters.
I visited Balor's stream and Balor was basically saying there's like pinnacle bosses in your map. And I was like, yeah, pinnacle bosses, but with rare aura stacking and Arch Nemesis mods. Extra fun. Like I ran a map with turbo and frenzy charges, and then I did a Crucible and spawned one with a haste aura. and there was just no counterplay. They flickered on me so fast, I couldn't react. There's nothing I could do. Yeah, and stuff like that makes it feel like, to me, to link back to the original point that I was trying to make when Slippery Jim applauded me for not playing hardcore. Is like, I'd love to play hardcore. I actually really like playing hardcore, even when it's punishing, but it needs to be punishing in a fair way, right? I need communication, what risk I'm getting myself into, and then I can weigh it against the reward. But the game is not telling you what risk it is, and if the rewards are not, immediate, but like super RNG and super down the line, then the risk reward choice that you have as a player falls apart. There is no risk reward choice.
I didn't mean to bully you if you took it that way.
No, you didn't bully me. I'm actually happy that, like I said, I'm enjoying softcore play. I'm also, for the first time, like, not putting pressure on myself to play like everyone in softcore. I'm basically playing as if I'm playing SSF hardcore, but I continue after I die, and I take advantage of the economy when I want to, but I don't try to let the economic pressure get to me, as in, oh, I need to sell items, I need to buy items, I need to, make the right decision at the right time. I need to convert my currency into divines before they go to 300. And I'm switching all that part of my brain off. I'm just playing the game, making my build. I know that if I just don't interact with trade, I'll be able to make a good build by the end of the 4 months easily. Like, even in like 1 month, my build will be really good, right? Even if I don't trade for anything. I try to bypass some progression with trade whenever I can, because it's, taking advantage of it, but I'm trying to take all the benefits without taking the downsides. And so far, it's been really good. I've been enjoying the league more than any other league in the past, because I'm playing, like I said, with a focus on fun. Yeah, Balor clarified a question in the chat where people asked, how did Balor make the shield? So you quickly want to answer that for the people who are listening who couldn't read what you were answering?
Wow.
Try not to bring the specific build things into the podcast, but if anyone's trying to copy the shield I made for Poison, just don't. I didn't mean to do that. That happened by accident. That's a miracle. I've spent 50 divines trying to make a shield like that and left with nothing before. There was a miracle. You can't make that shield.
Can you quickly share the screen share the shield? I want to see it now that you talk about it.
I've sold the build.
Oh, completely sold off. Damn.
Yeah, but I managed to hit +1 minion damage, minion life, and life gain on block.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah, it was a miracle. It shouldn't have happened. I was just putting life fossils on it. I was just looking for life and life gain on block. That was it. I was just trying to make a cheap block shield, and that happened. It is not recreatable.
Content creator prosperity. Well, now that we got that resolved, any more questions or anything that you guys are excited about that you still want to bring up as we're running towards the 2-hour 30 mark? We should round things off, but give people a little bit of an idea what they can expect from your content, so that they feel compelled to check it out, as I think you are awesome creators. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invited you onto this podcast. And maybe there's something that you can say that make people excited.
I got another build idea, and with the new jewel that recovers life from stunning hits, so you essentially can play cast when stunned, but let's say not completely cast when stunned focus, but as a defensive layer. It recovers up to 60% of the damage taken from stunning hits instantly. So essentially, you can mitigate 60% of the damage. You still need to, I guess, recover the remaining 40%, but that shouldn't be difficult. Now I'm thinking, if you combine that with the Tainted Pact amulet, it probably could be immortal. Like, even if you take big damage from Here's hits, and you have I don't know, -60 or 0 Here's resistance, you would take a lot of damage, but you wouldn't really notice that, because you would instantly recover it with that cast when stunned amulet. Sorry, not amulet, jewel. And the degen would be covered by the Tainted Pact amulet. I may actually have to experiment with that as well. I saw some people making tests in standard with the gas when stunned. You cannot really automate gas when stunned because you cannot stun yourself. That's like one of the rules in the game to prevent infinite loops for some reason. I don't know why, but you can make yourself pretty much get stunned from any tiny hits because
So
of
you
the.
can't get stunned by the damage from the what is it, the self-damaging skill that people use on
Nope.
totems
Nope.
that deals chaos damage to you in a hit.
Nope. Self
Okay,
hits
nothing that deals
can
damage
never
to you.
stun, and you cannot block self hits. You can block reflected damage from yourself, but you cannot block self-inflicted damage, and you cannot stun self-inflicted damage. But yeah, you could combine those. Like as a defensive layer, it sounds like really interesting. Up to 60% of the damage that you take gets recovered instantly as life. So, and you can do like mind over matter. So you split some of the damage goes into mana, and you essentially would recover 100% of the damage that you take from life immediately. You just need to recover a bit of mana. And you also need to make sure that you don't die from degens. So combine that with the Tainted Pact would be interesting.
I can't wait for your video exploring that because like part of that explanation went above my head.
No,
But I'll
I think
probably understand it.
someone with bigger budget is gonna do that. Like Captain Line's probably gonna do fast.
Maybe. I don't know. What about you, Jim? You got some interesting stuff to look forward to? You gonna do another like big batch farming video or something that you're known for?
I don't have anything planned, but if I was
Loot
to do
from
any-
100 like or passive trees from 100 recombinations of trees in the forge.
Oh, that'd be so painful. Nah, probably not. I thought of two things on the spot as soon as you said, like, you got anything planned? I'm like, no, but I do now. But no, I don't have anything planned, but I need money because I could do like maybe like 500 of those endgame geode maps and just see what's in them kind of thing. Maybe see if I make money, like buy them all, spend like 30 divines to buy them all, and then see if I make more than 30 divines back. That could be cool. I've instantly forgot the other one that I just thought of. Yep. Nope, it's gone. I have no idea. I should have wrote it down when I thought it was like, that's a good idea. And now it's gone. Oh, no.
Well, I guess up to you, Balor. Do you got something you want to still mention? I think you already mentioned plans.
Nah,
Explore.
right now I'm farming a headhunter because I want to do stupid bow stuff. But
Oh, that'd be nice.
once I do stupid bow stuff and have a headhunter, that's when you get to the point of the league where I have like money to burn. As soon as I've got money to burn, I'm doing as many of the ridiculous tree things that I can find. Stupid combinations of skills that don't make sense, and then try and make those work because I think that would be fun.
I remember.
Yeah.
I want to
You
get
remember?
a bunch of fishing rods and put trees on them. Yeah. But I want to self-farm the fishing rods. I'm not going to buy them like some scrub. So I need to finish my RF build perfectly and then take off the fire trap hat and put a Fairgraves on and just farm some fishing rods. Also might make a magic finder.
Well,
I already
like,
started, but I'll give up on it later. Huh?
Since all of this hinges on us having currency, maybe like just before we round up, what is your currency making strat of choice? What are you going for?
I told you those steel shields. That's the only way I've been making money. I got nothing. none of my methods work anymore. They're all gone. I scammed myself by accident. I'm like, wow, a bulk selling tool. I clicked it and it sent off a whisper to like God knows where. And then some dude DM'd me and said, hey, I'd love to buy 25 of your things. And he threw me a bunch of money. And then when he was gone, he's like, yeah, you gave me a whole bunch of like Sun logbooks instead of Scythe logbooks. These are worth a ton. I'm like, oh, cool. You can tip me if you want. And he's like, and then he just dipped, gave me like 20C extra and then pissed off. And I'm like, oh, shit. I've learned a lesson. I'm never using these bulk tools again. From the speed at which
By the way, how do you feel about hair stacking to 20? I almost scanned myself so many times with that. Trying to trade and then just chuck in a couple of stacks, not looking.
I'm used to it.
I love it now that I'm adjusted, but I think it's stupid that they changed like 3 currencies to have higher stacks. But
Wait,
let
what
me
else?
stack everything. Aren't there other things? Were Alks always 20?
Now they were 10.
Because I'm pretty sure they
Oh.
weren't. Alks are 20 as well. And there was one other thing, but I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure there were 3. But I thought we were going to see like most stuff get like, instead of having like 10 here and 30 there and 40 here and 10 there and 9 of those. And I thought they were just going to like normalize it at a relatively higher value, and it didn't happen.
Maybe next league.
Vals, I think. Were they always 20?
No, I think Vals are also up to 10, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Vals, Alks, and Chaos. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I have a side question, and would also like to ask the chat: how many of you are waiting for Diablo 4 because you're bored of this league and just want to play Diablo 4 now? Or are you excited to continue playing this league and don't really care about Diablo 4?
Also, no.
This is my hand half up because like I'm not bored of the league. But if Diablo 4 was coming out tomorrow, I'd be playing it. like I'm excited still.
I'm cheap. I'll wait until they monetize it poorly, and then I'll decide whether I have to play it or not.
I'm not excited about D4 at all. I do recognize its merit for the ARPG scene, and I do think that in part, or in a large part, the highest player numbers that GGG has seen for Path of Exile this league is due to the fact that a lot of people checked out D4, decided, hey, ARPGs are kind of cool. What else is there? Oh, PoE has this new league launch that all my favorite streamers are playing, and go in. I mean, it's great that the base game is so good, but it's a little bit sad that the league is so underwhelming, because it would have been a great way to recruit some long-term PoE players.
I'm excited for Minecraft Legends, comes out in 2 days. When's D4 come out?
I think in a month.
Well, there we go. Minecraft
more.
Legends, baby. Let's go play that. It's like Pikmin meets streaming economy meets base rushing meets resource gathering. I'll play the shit out of that. I'll play the shit out of it in a year's time when it's on sale, because I'm cheap. But I'll play it eventually. Everspace 2, that came out. Play that when it's on sale. Yep. I'm never going to play any of these things. I bought Stellaris on sale, installed it, never played it. Same with Stardew Valley, installed it. I just like supporting games that are cool, but never actually playing them. Which is why I won't play Diablo, because it's not a cool game.
Well,
Wait,
how do
no,
you know?
yeah, I will play Diablo. Shit. I won't buy it and I will play it. Wait, no, don't admit to that. I don't know. How do online servers even work? Dark magic.
What is a video game?
Exactly. Have you seen their new AI stuff? Holy shit. The thing Microsoft did with the simulation of a real world with multiple AI clients running around in it. They're basically making Sword Art Online, but like actually. It's terrifying. And so cool. I want in. Sign me up. Put me in, Gabe. I'm ready. I'm referencing so much shit. Move on. Don't let me talk. I'm going to stop now.
Well, I think we've kind of depleted ourselves on all the topics, and there's some things that we could get into, right? There's probably an in-depth topic with currency making strats and all that, but I think that's best if we talk about that on a separate podcast. We got lined up for next week, Wednesday evening. We're talking to Scotoria and Deedle, and then in the weekend we got some of the Maxroll GG boys over, and that's probably when we talk about all the currency making and all the flashy stuff, right? And today it was just important to cover the patch changes and the first impressions of the league, especially seeing that Balor didn't have a chance to voice his opinions on the league yet on the podcast so far. Maybe just, you mentioned the vendor changes in chat. I think I agree with you, Balor. You said overall the vendor changes are a buff. But I was really frustrated because I'm used to the old vendors, and when I wanted to get into maps, I was like, I really want a white leather belt to use an Alk or an Essence on. I went to 3 towns back, and no one had a white belt. Everything was already blue or rare. But yeah, overall, you can find some pretty insane items in the vendors if you're lucky. So yeah, I just have to adjust to it. I heard that in Ruthless it's the same, so it's a huge buff for Ruthless item acquisition. Bridges the gap between acts and maps really well. Well, I think that's a great point to jump off before we exceed the 2 hours 30. Guys, make an effort to show up to the streams of these awesome creators. Visit BalorMage, visit Slippery Jim, visit Wolfio. Watch Wolfio's new video on the Tainted Pact. Look out for Slippery Jim's insane farming video coming up. And I can't wait for Balor to tell us about his new build in a video. And yeah, as for the podcast, I want to thank you all for showing up. We had some great numbers for the past episodes after we switched to YouTube. It's been going well. If you want to support the creation of the podcast, you can sub on Twitch, you could buy a YouTube membership, or you can, if you don't want to share the money with the platforms, always go to Patreon to sub. I want to thank everyone who does support the creation of the podcast. Make sure you mark your calendars for Wednesday 9 p.m. GMT and Saturday 9 p.m. GMT, when we'll be talking to other amazing creators. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you all when we see you. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Thanks for coming onto the podcast on such short notice, because the lineup for this podcast, I've never had more problems. Like, things fell apart so hard and changed so many times. So I'm really happy that you guys signed up last minute to be on here. Bye-bye, and until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.